My dad made me choose one of the 10 goddesses to marry. This video is purely for entertainment and does not violate copyright or laws. The rights to the novel and the image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Chapter 376. We sent it. It stands to reason that if you jump into the hole above the palace, you will appear outside the palace. But Fen Lin did not appear outside. Around him, everything became a scorching desert. The sunlight at this moment hangs high in the sky. Not far away is a huge stone palace, relatively well preserved. It is more than 30 meters high and the area is equivalent to an exterior mansion. Jin came from the palace, picked up a bottle of water, took a sip, and said, "What kind of place do you think this is?" "I don't know, maybe this is the real world." Fen Lin also scratched his head with an expression on his face and looked around suspiciously. This formation is too mysterious and unpredictable. "Come in, there's a wall in the palace that I can't open." Jin put the mineral water in his pocket and turned around to carry Fen Lin. Fen Lin followed Jin into the huge palace. After entering the interior, there is a black wall in front of him, which is incompatible with the surrounding white stone palaces. Fen Lin burst out forcefully and kicked the wall. Boom! The entire palace shook violently, but the wall in front of him remained motionless. He looked at the white stone high above, suddenly jumped up and hit it. The same consequences follow. You can feel the vibrations around you, but you cannot destroy them. I tried for a long time and destroyed everything I could touch. There is nothing I can do, Jin said next to him. There must be something good in this. Fen Lin's left hand was covered with a dark red light. He increased his strength to the limit and punched it. Boom! The terrifying wave of air spread and the entire palace crumbled, but it did not suffer any damage. Invite outside experts to try. Jin asked from the side. "No, if you can call the second master, you won't call anyone outside, and that's true." Fen Lin thought of his ashes holy grew. A couple of them were currently sleeping, and there was another couple that were good. Then Fen Lin raised his left hand and pressed his palm against the black wall. Black smoke appeared all over his hand and the smoke also covered the walls. It works. Fen Lin felt happy and found that the wall was melting. Finally, the wall in front of him melted to create a large hole. "What is this?" Jin asked strangely. He had never seen Fen Lin of such ability before. "I'm Gru. I have 2 pairs here. I can give you a pair," Fen Lin said with a smile. "I don't want this kind of mistake." Jin waved his hand and walked in. Fen Lin followed him, and as soon as he entered, he smelled a smell. It was a deep rotten smell. Fen Lin looked around and found that there were many bones here. Their movements are different. Some are sitting on the floor, leaning against the wall, and others are sitting on chairs. Some were lying cross-legged on the ground. But they were in this posture, turned into white bones. It's strange. It seems they didn't die of old age or in battle. Fen Lin walked over and looked at the bones around him. There were no traces of injuries. They seemed to be very peaceful, waiting for death. Fen Lin took out his mobile phone, took pictures of the surrounding scenes, and took the time to ask his father and second master. Jin raised his head and found that there were stairs in the distance, so he walked closer. Fen Lin stood on the first floor, observing these skeletons. He walked to the back table and found Bones sitting in the chair with 2 rings on his fingers. If he didn't get this space ring, Fen Lin would never care. Now it was different. He immediately took it off and used key to penetrate deeply. Both of them turned out to be space rings. One of the white jade rings is bigger than mine. There are 3 or 4 cubic meters. Fourth. Come here quickly. Fen Lin laughed so hard that his mouth broke. There were so many legendary treasures here. What's wrong? Jin jumped down from the 2nd floor. This is a space ring. According to legend, a space ring made by a powerful alchemist. Fen Lin handed one to Jin. Jin delved into the key and sure enough, he saw a space. I didn't expect that such a treasure existed. When I heard it from the second master, I thought it was a lie. Jin, who had always had a paralyzed face and a perfect face, couldn't help but feel excited. With these things, you will be able to bring many things with you in the future. Because he is omnipotent, intelligent, and can do anything. So, on every mission, I carried a suitcase. In addition to his own things, he also carried other people's things. For example, Jin keeps all of his special masks, or human skin masks. Now that I have this, I won't have to worry about it as much in the future. Fourth, this space is big, 3 or 4 cubic meters, use this. Fen Lin handed the white jade ring to Jin. The rings of these 2 or 3 parts are enough. You can keep the big one. Jin put the ring in his hand on his index finger and said expressionlessly, "I'm not polite to you anymore. Find someone else." This is priceless, Fen Lin said excitedly. There are also skeletons upstairs. I'll go up to look for them. After Sakam Jin finished speaking, he jumped up the stairs again. Fen Lin searched this floor, but unfortunately, except for the man sitting on the chair, there was no one else. I found 2 more. Sakam Jin jumped down from the 2nd floor with 2 more rings in his hand. Great, give it to Sakam Master, Bao Yu, Lao Qi and the others. You know, Fen Lin already had one in his hand. Fen Lin collected all the rings and went up to the 2nd floor with Sakam Jin. It's the same as the 1st floor, with intact bones everywhere. That door should lead to the 3rd floor. Sakam Jin pointed to the black stone door in front. On both sides of the door, there were 2 skeletons. They both found Sakam Jin's ring. Fen Lin used Ash's holy goo to melt the black door and found that there was a staircase behind it. He looked at Sakam Jin and went up to the 3rd floor with him. The 3rd floor area is very small, equivalent to a living room in the outside world. There were bookshelves everywhere, but the books were tattered and destroyed. Only a few metal pieces remained. Fen Lin found 6 in total. This is a kung fu technique, 4th brother, let's do it this time. Fen Lin hugged Sakam Jin excitedly and kissed him on his flawless face. There are so many techniques and he doesn't believe that his Dead Knight members can't learn any of them. I wonder how much Death Knight can improve. Look, clothes. Sakam Jin pointed to the stone table in front of him, on which was a skirt made of gold and metal wire. There was nothing but clothes. Fen Lin picked up the dress. It was obviously made of metal wire, but it was very soft and light. Judging from her figure, she must be a very attractive woman. He tore it hard and stabbed it several times with a dagger, but it was intact. He put the space ring and gave it to Zhu Boying. Okay, 4th brother, I'm going to melt a big hole in the building so that the outside sunlight can come in. We'll search hard and not miss any corners. Fen Lin jumped onto the roof and used Ash's holy goo to destroy the buildings in the building. Palace. There must be other treasures here that they haven't found. Chapter 377. The baby doesn't need money. Fen Lin and Sakam Jin spent 2 full hours searching the place front and back, inside and out. It is currently 8 at night. But the weather in Tianjin province is the most special in China. At 10 or 11 at night the sky will darken. So there is still sun in the sky. Fen Lin took out all the corpses and buried them in the yellow sand instead of destroying them with qi. Let them return to dust and dust to dust. Fen Lin and Sakam Jin emptied everything inside. 3 more pieces of metal were found. Including the 6 that Fen Lin found before, there are a total of 9 exercises. Furthermore, several bottles of powerful medicinal pills were also found. The essence it contained was even comparable to the fire lotus seeds he had eaten before. This time it was really rewarding. Fen Lin put all these things into the space ring. For outsiders, they have nothing on them. No one knew they would have so many treasures. It's time to retreat. Fen Lin walked to the entrance of the cave below, jumped down, and reappeared in the hot environment. Sakam Jin also jumped down and followed Fen Lin. The backpack on his back had already been placed on the space ring and he put on his mask again. Look at the top of this building, there seem to be a lot of lines. That's why I discovered this, so I wanted to go up and take a look. Sakam Jin pointed to the roof and said. Fen Lin also raised his head to observe. He only remembered the entrance of the cave and did not pay attention to his surroundings. Sure enough, there are many lines, which is similar to the lines of the space ring. Fen Lin recorded the video on his mobile phone, then jumped up and shattered the entire roof in one fell swoop. Buzz. At this moment, the surrounding environment began to gradually blur and dissipate. Damn it. I'm not going to get into trouble, am I? Fen Lin looked around nervously. In the surrounding scene, all the colors began to disperse, then turned into white mist, and finally the white mist gradually dissipated. Fen Lin and Sakam Jin were in the desert. The buildings around them disappeared and they could only see the 3-story ancient palace on the tall sand dunes. Suddenly, Fen Lin looked into the distance and saw a living person. Those were the people who entered. They all had chapped lips and dehydrated eyes. I understand. It turns out that this building is the center of this formation. Fen Lin finally understood. No wonder he felt like he was in the forest but felt the scorching sun. Because they were originally in the desert, only the white buildings in the distance were real. So when you enter the building, you can feel the temperature drop a little. Not only that, the formation should also have the effect of increasing the temperature. Fen Lin couldn't help but sigh in his heart. The legendary alchemist simply had the power to reach the sky. Who would dare to think that all this is an illusion? Am I going to die or hallucinate? Why has the surrounding forest disappeared? Me too, I can see an oasis in the distance. We out. The weak people around him are all crouching down. He muttered, unable to believe this was true. Ah. Charge. Long Tina roared angrily and ran towards the farthest exit without thinking about his own safety. The old man following him hurriedly reminded, "Young master, this may be fake, it should be a mirage. We have to be careful." Before he could finish his words, he discovered that Long Tina had really come out. Damn. This is the real way out. He left immediately without saying a word. When other people in the distance saw this, they all rubbed their eyes. Although they didn't know what happened, they were finally able to leave this ghost place. Go. When Zhang saw this, he immediately led the rest of the people to the exit. Zhang Bangxia and others are still with Lian Dai and others. They noticed the exit and ran there quickly. They can't wait to drink water. Yan Yuibai looked at Yan Laosi. "Fourth grandpa, let's go out first and make sure our family is safe before we go in." Fen Lin spread his hands helplessly, but he did not expect to accidentally destroy the formation. Originally, he planned to kill Zhangdi, but now it seems that it will be postponed. "Come on, we have enough things this time." Fen Lin smiled and touched the space ring on his finger, and almost all the good things fell into his hand. As for others, maybe they will get lucky and get some treasures. But this is their luck, they don't have as many treasures as them anyway. Fen Lin took Sakam Jin and left with everyone. Zhen Wenwen was not seen outside. This time Fen Lin owed him a favor. It will definitely be returned later. Fen Lin and Sakam Jin did not stay long and immediately returned to their hotel. Jinguji Akane was resting here. When he saw them coming back, he immediately stood up and asked, "Why did you come back so soon?" "Because almost all the treasures are in our hands." Fen Lin touched the ring lightly and held it in his hand. Jinguji Ak's guitar case appears. In addition to mineral water, there are many treasures inside. Jinguji Akahu's eyes almost popped out when he saw this. "Boss, why did such a big guitar bag suddenly appear in your hand?" "Because of the space ring," Fen Lin said with a smile. "I found it inside the legendary treasure." "What? That kind of thing really exists?" Jinguji Akane asked in surprise. "Yes, not only that, we also found a lot and you also have a share." Fen Lin handed a 2 or 3 cubic ring to Jinguji Akane. Because the long knife he usually carries is more than 1 meter long, it is naturally larger. There is also a 2 or 3 cubic meter one for Man Changshen. The last 1 meter cube, which was what Fen Lin obtained first, was handed over to Yan Yuibai. Jinguji couldn't wait to take the ring in her hand, and following the method taught by the second master before, she saw a space appear in front of her. He put the pillow next to him and, sure enough, it disappeared. Then he took it out again. Repeatedly. "I never get tired of doing it." Fen Lin couldn't help but laugh when he saw Jinguji, who was so happy. "Fourth, you put away the 9 skills and elixirs." "What? 9 skills?" Jinguji was confused. "Aren't these treasures priceless?" "Money. Will you let us go back first?" Sakam Jin asked. "Yes, I have something else to do here. Let the second master study the techniques and see which one is suitable for you." Fen Lin was going to ask Yan Yuibai to give him the space ring and, if possible, kill Johnny. "Okay." Sakam Jin nodded. Fen Lin left the hotel and called Yan Yuibai. The call was connected immediately, and Yan Yuibai's voice came. "Boss, I'm about to call you." "Where are you?" "I'll find you," Fen Lin said into the phone. "I will allow location sharing for you." Yan Yuibai hung up the phone after saying that. Fen Lin followed this direction and ran there immediately. It was discovered that Yan Yuibai had returned to the entrance. She ran over and found that, except for her, most of the young people from before were here. The difference from before is that all the mineral water here is piled up like a hill. Especially when he saw Long Tina wriggling his mouth, Fen Lin wanted to laugh. Long Tina also discovered Fen Lin and walked over without any expression. Chapter 378 I took pictures of everything. Long Tina put his hands in his trouser pockets and looked at Fen Lin with a calm expression. "Where is that little cutie?" After Long Tina's reminder, Fen Lin also looked around strangely, but did not see Yan Dai. Did he get the treasure and retrieve first? "I don't know either." Fen Lin shook his head. "Boss, the previous formation has been broken. There is no obstacle now. You can follow me to grab the treasure." Yan Yuibai walked over, smiled and took Fen Lin's hand. Long Tina looked at Yan Yuibai and turned to leave. Currently, he doesn't want to offend Yan Yuibai because of Fen Lin. Finding the baby is more important. "Follow me." Fen Lin pulled Yan Yuibai and walked towards the desert in the distance. When Yan Laosi saw this, he immediately followed him. Zhang looked up and always felt that Fen Lin's back looked very similar to the person who stole his treasure before. But when the formation disappeared, he paid special attention to Fen Lin. He and the women at his side were empty-handed. There was nothing superfluous. There were so many treasures and it was obviously not him who took them. However, he must hold a grudge because he wanted to kill him inside. Maybe he will complain to Yan Bai. Zhang touched his chin and thought of a way to get rid of him once and for all. Boss, what's wrong? Yan Bai asked in a low voice as Fen Lin led him to the distant desert. When giving you a treasure, be sure to keep it secret. Fen Lin handed the black ring to Yan Bai. What is this? When Yan Bai was speaking, Yan Laosi also appeared from a distance. Finding that Fen Lin was silent, Yan Bai smiled and said, Boss, don't worry, our family has no family disputes. This is a space ring, Fen Lin explained. What? The legendary space ring. Yan Laosi's expression changed, he couldn't believe it. Is this what the second master said? Yan Bai was also shocked, took out his mobile phone, inserted his key deeply into it, and activated the formation on the ring. The mobile phone in his hand disappeared. Then, he took out his mobile phone from the ring. Boss, it's too valuable. I'm afraid I won't be able to hold it. Yan Bai immediately returned the ring to Fen Lin. Yan Laosi also nodded next to him. Fen Lin could truly consider Yan Bai as his sister. This kind of thing is priceless. In fact, he gave it away directly. We have several here, and you're the trash, Fen Lin said with a smile. Okay, boss, I'll accept it. Yan Bai nodded and put the black ring on his index finger. Keep looking for the baby and don't be there with me. After Fen Lin said that, he left, with Yan Bai following him, making it difficult for Johnny to do anything to him. If he were alone, Johnny would definitely find trouble with himself and kill him when the time came. When Yan Laosi saw Fen Lin leaving, he walked over and said, Miss, this is a priceless treasure. Please use it for your own convenience. Don't display it in front of everyone. I know. Yan Bai lowered his head and looked at the ring. The people around him re-entered the ruins. This time, everyone was prepared and brought enough water in case any eventuality arose. Fen Lin shook his head at this. The formation was already broken. Carrying water at this time was a burden. He followed the crowd and headed back into the desert. Fen Lin immediately ran into the depths of the desert. After John D entered, he looked at Mr. Wang next to him and whispered, Follow me immediately and kill that boy. Yeah. Mr. Wang looked at Fen Lin walking away, taking Johnny with him. Above. Don't worry, wait until there are fewer people before killing him. Johnny reminded in a low voice, especially without letting Yan Bai see it. Fen Lin's eyes looked back and sure enough, they followed him, but they always stayed a few hundred meters away from him. It seems that he wants to settle in a place with few people. Fen Lin was in no hurry and was going to see other white buildings, maybe he could win something. Fen Lin can kill Johnny instantly. As for the masters around him, Fen Lin was also not afraid of them. Johnny, who was following Fen Lin, suddenly turned his head and looked at the white building in the distance. He found John Banksia emerging from inside, holding a piece of metal in his hand, which was the size of an adult man's palm. But John Banksia was wearing a skirt, white socks, and no pockets. So this piece of metal has always been in his hand. Mr. Wang. John quickly grabbed Mr. Wang's shoulder. He pointed to John Banksia in the distance and said in a deep voice, Look at John Banksia's happy expression, maybe it's his kung fu. Mr. Wang looked at John Banksia in the distance carefully. I looked around and didn't see any stones. I hear you, young master. Mr. Wang's voice became colder. This is a skill. Johnny also frowned, constantly thinking in his heart. Between their two families, Johnny's family is Zhao Zhang and his family is Da Zhang. Johnny once wanted to marry into the Zhang family according to his family's wishes, but was severely ridiculed by John Banksia. That's why he set his target on Yan Bai. Kill directly. Don't waste time. John looked around and saw that everything was covered in yellow sand and there was no trace of anyone else. If you don't do it now, when will you wait? Boom. Mr. Wang exploded his strength to the limit, stirred up a large piece of yellow sand, and ran in the blink of an eye. Johnny followed closely behind. John Banksia in the distance was very happy, and unexpectedly, when he came back in, he found a skill. This is a great treasure. She is a happy person and after finding something so valuable, she is ready to return. But suddenly, the yellow sand rose into the sky in the distance, like a hurricane. The next moment, he noticed that Mr. Wang was the first to bear the brunt. It's you. What? How dare you attack me? Before John Banksia could finish speaking, Mr. Wang punched her. Poof. John Banksia spouted a mouthful of blood, flew upside down, and hit the yellow sand in the distance heavily. Mr. Wang showed no mercy and continued to attack John Banksia without giving him a chance to breathe. John Banksia's face changed drastically. This person was in the realm of penetration. Unexpectedly, the people of the Zhang family would actually dare to kill her. This was a large stage higher than her, and Zhang Bangxia immediately stood up from the yellow sand. He raised the skill in his hand and said, "Don't kill me. Isn't it my skill? I'll give it to you. Kill." Zhang Yi also hurried over. Since taking action, Zhang Bangxia must not be allowed to live. Let her return and everyone will know what awaits the Zhang family. Mr. Wang naturally knew this and continued to attack Zhang Bangxia. It is too easy to deal with the power of reaching the peak of the middle stage to deal with a divine orifice realm. He flashed, grabbed Zhang Bangxia's neck and lifted her high. "You're paralyzed." Zhang Bangxia roared angrily and grabbed his blindfold hand. At this moment, a voice came from far away. "What an amazing battle. I took pictures of everything." Feng Lin smiled and picked up his phone. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic Novellas, we cordially invite you to visit our channel. There you will find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 379. Let me show you something interesting. When Zhang Li saw Feng Lin appear, he felt his heart tremble and beat faster. If the Zhang family knew that he had killed Zhang Bangxia, the consequences would be disastrous. He instinctively attacked Feng Lin, preparing to kill him. "No!" Mr. Wang shouted, but it was too late. The dagger in Feng Lin's hand had landed on Zhang Li's neck. Shit! Mr. Wang cursed secretly. Feng Lin was obviously not an ordinary person, and his strength must surpass that of Zhang Li. Furthermore, Zhang Li's shoulder was injured. How could he beat Feng Lin? Now they are almost at a dead end. Zhang Bangxia turned around and looked at Feng Lin in the distance. She didn't expect this man to actually save her. Involuntarily, Zhang Bangxia's view of Feng Lin changed a lot. "Old man, let's make a deal. You let that woman go, and I'll let him go." Feng Lin grabbed Zhang Yi's hair and put the dagger against his neck. Mr. Wang pinched Zhang Bangxia's neck and said nothing. After a long time, he said in a deep voice, "If they let Zhang Bangxia go, our Zhang family will be destroyed. If it were other people who knelt in bed for mercy, maybe they would let them go. But Zhang Bangxia is different. This woman has a bad temper and will retaliate. He had killed her just now. As long as he let her return, she would definitely settle scores with him." "So what do you mean you don't plan to kill Johnny?" Feng Lin shrugged slightly. "Anyway, I'm not in a hurry." Mr. Wang's eyes became increasingly colder. "Of course I was not in a hurry. If the stalemate continues like this, when the stone arrives, everyone will die. Young master, are you willing to sacrifice your life for the Zhang family? This is the only way." Mr. Wang suddenly asked Zhang Li, his face serious. Now they only have one way left, which is to kill Zhang Bangxia. In this case, Feng Lin would kill Johnny. Finally, Mr. Wang killed Feng Lin again. Everybody dies. Naturally, no one knows who killed Zhang Bangxia. Apart from this method, everything else is a dead end. Mr. Wang. John was so scared that his legs started to shake and he already regretted why he provoked Zhang Bangxia. He obviously came to kill Feng Lin. "Miss Zhang, please, I asked Mr. Wang to let you go and you promised me that this time things will be forgotten, please." Zhang yelled at Zhang Bangxia, "I think you don't want to die." "Is good. I agree." Zhang Bangxia nodded. "Then you swear it, you swear it." Zhang Li's voice pleaded. "Okay, I swear, as long as you let me go back, I will never complain, otherwise there will be thunder and lightning." Zhang Bangxia raised 3 fingers. Zhang was right, she definitely didn't want to die. Who will die with this bastard? As long as he can return, there are many ways to deal with Johnny. "Mr. Wang, look," she took an oath. Johnny couldn't wait to look at Mr. Wang, with a pleading expression on his face. Mr. Wang sighed deeply. John had killed so many people, but he didn't expect to be a person who was greedy for life and fearful of death. The Zhang family is going to die. He looked at Feng Lin and said coldly, "How about we release both of them at the same time?" "All right." Feng Lin nodded. Then they both let go at the same time. Zhang Yi rolled and crawled towards Mr. Wang. Zhang Bangxia here also covered his chest and walked quickly towards Feng Lin. The moment the two met, Mr. Wang suddenly exploded to his limit and quickly killed Zhang Bangxia. But I didn't expect that Feng Lin was faster and arrived at Zhang Bangxia's side first, grabbed her arm and threw it away. "Brush. Kill Zhang Li with a knife. Brat. You are looking for death." Mr. Wang roared angrily. He enveloped his entire body and punched Feng Lin. "Run." Feng Lin yelled at Zhang Bangxia, and he also hit him. Boom. The two fists collided and the yellow sand under their feet shook more than 10 meters. I'll call someone. John Banksia bit her lips and ran away. Now he felt breathless, like his ribs were broken. Staying won't help. When Feng Lin saw John Banksia leave, he smiled slightly and said, let's fight. I hope you can help me reach the peak of early penetration. Feng Lin's left eye flashed with reddish light. You have indeed entered the realm of penetration. People like you will never survive. Mr. Wang's entire body was enveloped in light and he continued to attack Feng Lin. Feng Lin approached him without hesitation. He was far behind Wang Hei's Hu, but he was still a level above him. Feng Lin was not afraid at all and dared to fight head-on. Not only that, Feng Lin also concealed that the power of Ash's holy glue was not used at all. And their physical attacks. Both sides are doing their best. This is the battle that consumes the most energy. It's like a boxer training privately and playing for an hour. But in the real ring, it can take 5 or 6 minutes to feel sweaty and physically and mentally exhausted. Feng Lin and the opponent were injured and had a 50-50 ratio. Feng Lin felt like he was almost at his limit and suddenly grabbed Mr. Wang's hands. Here, let me show you something fun. As he spoke, the dark red key in front of Feng Lin suddenly rolled and turned into a fiery sword. This, Mr. Wang couldn't dodge at all. Brush. This fiery sword penetrated Mr. Wang's neck. He couldn't believe it. This is the lost, White Emperor's holy sword. After saying that, he fell down with a resigned expression on his face. Feng Lin covered his face and sure enough, beating someone who was a level above him was the most fun. Now that the matter is over, Feng Lin is ready to leave. You can see many people around, entering the building in search of treasures. As soon as he had reached the exit, John Banksia and Sheeta rushed over. Feng Lin. Are you okay? John Banksia saw Feng Lin's face covered in blood and quickly ran over and grabbed Feng Lin's arm. I have something to do, so I'll leave first. Feng Lin pushed John Banksia and disappeared. Feng Lin. Stop. Feng Lin. John Banksia shouted at Feng Lin, but the leaving figure did not stop. Finally, she looked at the place where Feng Lin disappeared, stunned. Miss, let's go back. Since you came back alive, the other party must be dead. She smiled slightly. This man is too scary. As expected of Mr. Zhang. I can find such an unerring fiancé for the young lady. John Banksia returned to the hotel. In the luxurious lounge, Zhang Yu sat in front of his laptop and looked at the recent stock market. He is not interested in ancient warriors and prefers business. Even so, he entered the divine realm early. Seeing John Banksia and Sheeta come in, he smiled and greeted him. Baby. John Banksia threw the iron piece of exercise technique onto the table. Zhang Yu picked it up and looked at it, and his heart sank. It's actually a skill. You have such a treasure. John Banksia had a dark face and lay on the sofa next to him without saying a word. Didn't that stinky Feng Lin save himself once? What are you crazy about? She asked him to stay, but he ignored her. Had him on WeChat, but he still disagrees and is not manly at all. Okay, I keep my word. Zhang Yu sat on the sofa, took out a cigarette, and said calmly, from now on, I will never mention your marriage to Feng Lin again. Dad, Feng Lin lives here. Where? John Banksia suddenly asked. Chapter 380 Proposal Ring. What do you mean? Zhang Yu looked stunned and asked, touching his chin. John Banksia sighed and said, he saved me. I wanted to thank him and invite him to dinner, but he ignored me. What? How dare you ignore my baby? John Banksia. You suddenly stood up and then sat down again. Hey, it's you who doesn't like me and your heart hurts. Who said I don't like him? He obviously doesn't like me. He said, I have a bad temper. He also said that he already has a wife. John Banksia was lying on the sofa, puffing out her cheeks slightly. I have heard about this, but as an elder, I am very embarrassed to interfere, so you should do it yourself. Zhang Yu smiled. He took out his mobile phone and dialed a number. I'll call Feng Lin father first and ask, where does Feng Lin live? Hands free. Turn on the speaker. John Banksia hurriedly reminded. He also wanted to hear what Feng Lin's father was referring to. Okay. Zhang Yu nodded. Hey. Zhao, why are you calling me in the middle of the night? I'm already asleep. Feng Chen's voice came from there. You know, it's 10:30 at night, but it's not dark here yet. Brother Chen, I forgot, it's still daytime here. Zhang Yu was a little embarrassed, forgetting that he was in Tianjin province. I want to know where Feng Lin lives. John Banksia was a little strange and felt that the relationship between the two of them was not bad. Haha. Are you looking for my son to marry? I remember that Banksia is also in her 20s. Feng Ken was no longer sleepy talking about this. Banksia has been a good boy since he was a child. This must be the destiny of a real wife. Here, John Banksia's face is slightly red and his thoughts are quite beautiful. If he really married Feng Lin, he would dare to take concubines and cause trouble for his woman all day long. Brother Chen, this is what you said. Send me Feng Lin's address. I will ask Banksia to meet him first. Zhang Yu said with a smile. Okay. I'll give it to you right now. Feng Chen said with a smile. After hanging up the phone, Zhang Yu had a little smile on his face. Baby, when are you going? Of course I will go when I have time, go home first. John Banksia rolled her eyes. What happened? To your father. Eager to get married. Feng Lin returned to the hotel first and cleaned the wounds on his body. Just go to the nearby mall and buy some clothes. I returned to the hotel, put on a new suit, and put the rest in the space ring. The firearms on his body were also loaded. As for the scalpel on the front of the belt, it was still in place. Mostly just getting used to it. When it was all over, he bought a ticket and prepared a return. But the ticket was for tomorrow, so Feng Lin slept another night in the hotel. The next day, I took a flight back to Yonsei. It was already noon when we arrived at Yonsei. He took a taxi and returned to the villa. On the other side of the door, this time there were not only Zhu Ruang and Mu Feihu, but also Sakam Jin and Jin Guoji Hui. Everyone is studying the exercises. Feng Lin. I have made progress again. Seeing Feng Lin enter, Zhu Ruang ran over excitedly. Feng Lin nodded. He was already in the middle of Jin stage. This speed was truly terrifying. Awesome. But we still have to work hard. We're still a few 100 million points behind Hui. Feng Lin smiled and touched Zhu Ruang's head to cheer her up a little. HNPH. She is only a few years ahead of me. Zhu Ruang puffed her lips slightly, turned around, left and continued exercising. Feng Lin approached Men Changshan with a smile and leaned on the armrest of his wheelchair. Second master, I will give you a small gift. Don't be too excited. A space ring. Men Changshan smiled. TCH, I'm sure Hui can't take it. I originally wanted to give you a surprise. Feng Lin handed a black ring to Men Changshan. The size is not bad, your wheelchair can fit in it. Hey. Men Changshan looked at the ring and said heavily. What's wrong? You already have a baby, why are you sighing? Feng Lin asked in confusion. Seeing things makes you think about emotions. This also has flaws. Men Changshan put the ring on his finger. It is not like this. Feng Lin looked confused. Could this kind of thing have any side effects? The disadvantage is that we always put valuable things in it. Men Changshan looked at his broken leg. Someone took my ring back then, and inside were all the treasures I had hid for decades, and they all became someone else's wedding dress. Feng Lin couldn't help but shake his head after hearing this. In fact, if there's a space ring, those treasures will be placed directly in it in the future. There's no need to hide elsewhere. Really convenient. But what you know to a master, there's no room to bargain, because the treasure is all in the ring. Feng Lin asked with a smile. How about those skills? Those ruins should have been a very evil sect, and the skills are relatively. Men Changshan looked at Sakam Jin in the distance. For what the boy is learning is demon battle Ju, pure physical combat, which is very suitable for him. Feng Lin nodded secretly. That's right. The fourth child seems soft and weak, but fights like crazy. The fifth girl is learning dark sword prison killing. I took a quick look at it. It is a very powerful and insidious technique. Men Changshan smiled and shrugged, but we are originally assassins hiding in the dark. The rest is how many are there? Feng Lin asked. 4 of the remaining 7 films are too evil. They use human beings as a furnace, harming others and not benefiting themselves. In order to become stronger, they extended their own lives too much. Men Changshan took out 4 pieces of metal and said, you can destroy them. Listen. Second master. Feng Lin nodded, without even looking at him, and directly used Ash's holy glue to melt these 4 techniques. There are 3 parts left. Put them here with me first. Don't eat too much in one bite. The White Emperor Holy Sword is very strong. You must master that part first, Men Changshan explained. Okay. Feng Lin agreed. There is also that promoted Black Radiant Pill, did you hear what I said? Men Changshan took out a medicine bottle. So this is the Black Radiant Pill. No wonder it is such a large amount of medicine. Men Changshan once mentioned the Black Radiant Pill. According to records, it was an elixir that the ancient sect made the younger generation eat from childhood. Those below the master level can take 1 pill to advance to the next level, but they must stabilize their body and can only take 1 pill every 6 months. Only the children of rich people can afford it, which is why it is also called Tuhadan. You don't have to worry about the blackout pill, Shaoring, Shaoru, and King King. I will let them eat it at the best time. Men Changshan took out another small bottle. This is the Dragon Mart pill, waiting for you to enter. At the peak of the early stage, you can enter the middle stage by eating one. Shit. So powerful. Fen Lin was surprised. Yes, this is the most precious elixir. There are only 2 pills in total. The remaining will be given to the 4th child. When he reaches the peak of the divine aperture, one will help him enter the penetration, Men Changshan explained patiently. Okay. Fen Lin nodded with a smile, always making sure that the 4th child's strength was about the same as his. Having an expert around the same level can be of great help. After chatting with the second master for a while, Fen Lin returned to Zhu Ruang's villa. Zhu Ruang and Jinguji Akane also followed him. Why don't you train anymore? Fen Lin asked the two. Boss, my hands are sweaty. It seems that I have to take off the engagement ring you gave me. Jinguji Akane took off the white ring from her ring finger and waved it deliberately in front of Zhu Ruang. Zhu Ruang's eyes could spit fire. She looked at Fen Lin and said coldly, "It seems like I've never received a gift from you before." Chapter 381. Do you dare to kiss him? It's normal if you don't accept it. A concubine who allows you and the boss to live under the same roof is already a gift to you. Jinguji Akane raised his hand again and deliberately put it in front of Zhu Ruang. This ring is worn on the ring finger. You, Zhu Ruang's teeth were itchy with anger, and she grabbed Fen Lin's arm. I don't care. I want a gift too. Come back. Practice quickly, don't cause me trouble. Fen Lin pushed the Jingu temple onto Kihu's shoulders. Concubine, I'm leaving. Jinguji Kihu blinked at Zhu Ruang, and before leaving, he didn't forget to raise his hand to let Zhu Ruang see the ring. Let's go. Fen Lin took Zhu Ruang's hand and walked towards the villa. Zhu Ruang's face was full of disgust, but she still followed Fen Lin, puffing her lips all the while. Back at the villa, the little fox was lying on the sofa. He looked at Fen Lin who walked in and lowered his head. I'm not a stingy person, but she is very hateful. She keeps showing off in front of me. Zhu Ruang shook off Fen Lin's hand and sat on the sofa with her arms crossed. I don't care, you should do it. Also buy me a gift. Her ring is made of plastic and costs a few yuan, Fen Lin said with a smile. Stop talking nonsense. I've seen the material. It's the same as jade. It's definitely not cheap. Zhu Ruang is not so easily fooled. Jinguji is not an ordinary person. If it were an ordinary ring, how could she be so proud? Haha, you are my wife. If you have good things, I will think of you first. Fen Lin took out a dark golden metal skirt from the space ring and threw it to Zhu Ruang. What is this? Zhu Ruang looked at the skirt carefully and found that it felt like metal, but it was very soft and smooth. Try to see if it fits. Fen Lin got up, smiled and sat next to Zhu Ruang. Come on, I'll put it on for you. Out. Zhu Ruang rolled her eyes and compared their figure carefully and found that the size was even smaller, quite appropriate. This is soft armor. Fen Lin took out the dagger from his body and stabbed the soft armor several times, but it couldn't hurt at all. Zhu Ruang became more and more surprised. I had also seen bulletproof vests, but they were very thick and uncomfortable to move in. This piece of soft armor is as thin as a feather and very light. If it can protect the body, it is really a treasure. The most important thing is that this is a small skirt with sleeves. General bulletproof vests are all vests that mainly protect key parts such as internal organs. If your arms can also be protected, you can use them to block attacks in the future. I'll put it on. Zhu Ruang took the skirt and quickly ran to the second floor. Fen Lin took advantage of this time to approach the little fox and hold it in his arms. I haven't seen him in a few days and I noticed that he seems to have grown a lot. After a while, Zhu Ruang came down with a dark golden skirt. However, she didn't like this color of clothing, so she put on a black coat outside. Not bad, it seems to fit well. Fen Lin looked at the stretched area, touched his chin and nodded. These clothes are really good. It looks like you are not wearing them. Zhu Ruang stood in front of Fen Lin and turned slightly. Go and fight with Kihu to roughly test the defense of the suit, so that you can feel safe in the future. Fen Lin put the little fox on the sofa, stood up, and put his arms around Zhu Ruang's shoulders. Yeah. Zhu Ruang nodded. He left the villa with Fen Lin and suddenly said, by the way, Mr. Lan told me something yesterday. That. Fen Lin was a little strange. Logically speaking, Lan should inform me first, mine. He told me about the village where my grandfather lived and asked me to go there and see if I could find our family's secrets. Zhu Ruang planned to go there with Fen Lin. According to Lanny, his grandfather never told his father about the Zhu family. Therefore, if you want to obtain the secret of Zhu Fu's descendants, you can only find it in Tsukusa. Fen Lin nodded. It's okay, I've been fine lately. I'll go with you tomorrow. Zhu Wang went to fight with Jingu Jiqiu again. After testing, this soft armor was a treasure. He can disperse the attacks he receives and spread them throughout his body. A simple understanding is that it has the opposite effect of Fen Lin's White Emperor Holy Sword. The attack of the White Emperor Holy Sword is that the same power turns the palm into a dagger. The ability of this garment is to disperse dagger attacks and turn them into slaps. The fatal wound would only hurt Zhu Wang a little. Men Changshan was also secretly surprised, even he didn't know the material of these clothes. After calculation, dealing with Zhu Wang would be a full-strength attack at the middle stage of transformation. Hitting the soft armor would make him vomit blood at most. You know, this is a much higher level than her. Of course, the shortcomings are also obvious. After all, a skirt is a skirt. If Zhu Wang's head is attacked by the transformation realm, he can still die in one blow. Hey, you give me skirts all day. I hate it so much. Zhu Wang grabbed her skirt and looked at Akadu helplessly. It's just a skirt, trash. Jingu Jiao pursed his lips. Yes, this trash of mine is a priceless treasure. Your baby ring can be bought anywhere in the market, Zhu Wang said with a look of disdain and anger. My ring is a priceless treasure, mighty. Before Jingu Jiqiu could finish his words, Fen Lin immediately covered his mouth. He took out Jingu Ji somewhere else and whispered, "Don't tell your baby, our relationship is being kept secret." Jingu Ji nodded helplessly. In fact, he still likes to show off in front of Zhu Wang and stimulate her spirit. But the boss said so she could only do it. The matter here is basically over. Fen Lin went to retreat into the mountains alone, but he was still a little short of reaching the peak of the early stage. Feel it before the night and you can achieve it. Indeed, at 8 at night. After exceeding the limit several times, Fen Lin successfully reached the peak of the early stage. He immediately took the dragon mark pill and felt the power in his body suddenly surge and flow rapidly through his meridians. Good boy. Fen Lin felt the power surging from his body and was shocked. Now he feels capable of living happily ever after. This state lasted for half an hour and the body's strength finally began to stabilize. The middle stage of the penetration realm. Return to the villa. The three beauties of the house are eating. Seeing Fen Lin come in, Zhao King hurried to the kitchen and brought Fen Lin's portion. After the meal, Fen Lin lay on Zhu Wang's lap, his eyes suddenly blinded. Indeed, only then can he relax. This night, Fen Lin did not look for Zhu Wang, he was very tired recently. I also wanted to rest well. Early the next morning, Fen Lin looked at Jingu Jiqiu in his arms and shook his head slightly. Boom. Suddenly, Zhu Wang also jumped into her room from the window. Now that he has become an ancient warrior, he has learned not to leave the door. Get up. Zhu Wang grabbed Jingu Jiqiu's long legs and pulled them out. Jingu Jiqiu kicked Zhu Wang, then hugged Fen Lin's neck and kissed Fen Lin on the cheek. Fuck, do you dare, kiss him? Zhu Wang's eyes widened. Chapter 382 Double Standard. Zhu Wang gritted her teeth, lay down on the other side of Fen Lin and kissed her as well. Seeing this, Jingu Jiqiu said directly to Fen Lin's mouth, "Moo, well." He then looked at Zhu Wang with an air of dignity. During this time together, he also knew roughly who Zhu Wang was. He certainly wouldn't dare do this. Zhu Wang swallowed and continued to fight here. "Yeah, you're just trying to compete with me for the boss." Jingu Jiqiu smiled disdainfully, then jumped up and stretched. "Go away happily. You think I'm afraid of you?" After Jingu Jiqiu left, Zhu Wang immediately lay down on Fen Lin's face. And they stayed together for more than 10 seconds before separating. Fen Lin lay here expressionless, his face covered in saliva so early in the morning. "Get up." Zhu Wang wiped her mouth and took Fen Lin's arm. "Come with me to Grandpa's village today." Fen Lin took Zhu Wang into his arms with a strong pull and said lightly, "Take me away. My interest has been aroused, tell me, what should I do?" "You, let me go." Zhu Wang seemed a little nervous. "Lie down, me. The last time I got hurt and you dared to do that to me, I haven't settled accounts with you yet." Fen Lin pressed Zhu Wang under him and said coldly, "Fen, husband, I was wrong. What happened last time was my fault." Zhu Wang was suddenly frightened by Fen Lin's domineering aura and hurriedly apologized. Fen Lin calmly said, "Stop talking nonsense, wait a minute." A minute later, Fen Lin left the room with satisfaction. Zhu Wang was lying here, her face flushed, and she was so embarrassed that tears came out. He bit his lip and followed Fen Lin. "This is what I said, so I can only endure it." Fen Lin was sitting on a renovated sofa, while Zhao King was busy in the kitchen. Mu Xiaolu also came out of the bathroom and greeted with a smile. "Good morning, Fen Lin." "Good morning." Fen Lin yawned and crossed his legs. After working for so long, it was time to relax. Whatever you do, you should combine work with rest. Blindly tensing your nerves will be bad for your health. The blush on Zhu Ruang's pretty face had not yet faded. She came down from the second floor and looked at Fen Lin fiercely. Fen Lin smiled and winked. Zhu Ruang immediately turned her face away and ignored Fen Lin. After several people had breakfast, Zhao King went to the company first. Mu Xiaoyu went to the opposite side of the train. Only Fen Lin and Zhu Ruang are left here. Originally, Zhu Ruang planned to continue ignoring Fen Lin, but today she wanted him to accompany her to the village. He could only take the initiative to speak to Fen Lin. Get up, it's time to go. But I don't want to move, Fen Lin stretched and said weakly. Get up. You promised me yesterday. Zhu Ruang grabbed Fen Lin's arm and lifted him off the sofa. Honey, you have a double standard. What I promise you must be fulfilled. What you promise me doesn't count. Fen Lin stood up from the sofa and shrugged his shoulders expressionlessly. When did I stop counting? Zhu Ruang asked. You are the one who said 10 seconds a week. I was keeping your promise just now, but you are still angry, Fen Lin said with an impatient expression. Forget it, I won't from now on. Who said he was angry? Zhu Ruang pointed to Fen Lin and asked. Look, you said you weren't angry. Fen Lin pursed his lips. Don't worry, I won't do that in the future. It's not that Qihui and King are missing, not to mention Zhao Yu. You dare. Zhu Ruang came down the mountain like a tiger, ran to Fen Lin, hugged his head and lay down on the sofa. Fen Lin's entire face was covered and he couldn't breathe. Okay. From now on, I'll only play with you, okay? Fen Lin raised his hands in surrender. Can you talk? What is a game? It should be said that you can only use mine, no. It should be. Zhu Ruang didn't know how to express it, so she could only pinch Fen Lin. You can't do this to them anyway. This depends on your performance. Fen Lin broke free and smiled slightly. Zhu Ruang today wore dark red sports clothes to facilitate movement. On the left and right sides of her blouse, there were the Chinese characters Huoxia, village where his grandfather once lived. This village is called Duanshan, the northernmost mountain village located in Jiangbai. Because the location is so remote, the navigation is not very clear. Another and finally reached his destination at 12 noon. This town is located on a large mountain and cement roads have been built around it. Before Zhu Ruang went up, he bought some gifts from a nearby supermarket. A good wine. Then, Zhu Ruang went up the mountain. Many people in the town were sitting on the side of the road, looking at the Mercedes-Benz S-Class and glancing sideways. This kind of luxury car is rarely seen by older people who have been to the village. Zhu Ruang parked the car in front of a group of elders playing chess, and she and Fen Lin got out of the car together. Fen Lin grabbed Zhu Ruang's hand, walked up to him, and asked with a smile, Uncle, was there a man named Zhu Gusao who once lived here? Uncle Zhu. I know, this is a fierce man. I am 60 or 70, and I have given birth to a son. A bald old man said with a smile while smoking a pipe. His face was full of wrinkles and all his teeth were missing. He looked almost 80 years old. When Fen Lin and Zhu Ruang heard this, their faces were filled with joy and they didn't expect to find out right away. Old man, Zhu Gusao is my grandfather, Zhu Ruang explained immediately. What? Are you Uncle Zhu's granddaughter? The old man looked at Zhu Ruang in surprise, then nodded secretly. In total, your father is now over 50 years old, which is about the same. Old man, I want to ask about my grandfather. Zhu Ruang immediately returned to the car and prepared to look for the wine. Fen Lin stopped her first. He simply took a box of Chinese tea and approached everyone with a smile. Come on, come on. Gentlemen, let's listen to the story with a Chinese tea. All the elders around gathered. Many of them have never heard of Zhu Gusao. The town is like a big family and almost everyone in the town knows many things. For example, this old man named Zhang Dashan turns 88 this year. He is the oldest person in town. The uncle and granddaughter he mentioned are still very young, which really arouses people's curiosity. Actually, there's not much to say. If Uncle Zhu were still alive, he would be almost 120 years old. Zhang Dashan smoked Huazi and said with a smile. Back then, he married a wife who was 20 years old. Younger, but never had children. When I was 70 years old, my wife finally got pregnant. Damn. Great. Give birth to a child at 70. Is it your biological child? The elders around were talking freely and talking about it. They must be biological. The couple love each other very much and are inseparable. Furthermore, Uncle Zhu is 70 years old and looks like he is in his 50s or 60s, Zhang Dashan explained. Uncle. What happened after? What happened to him after that? Zhu Ruang hurriedly asked. Chapter 383 Grievance and Unwillingness. Zhang Dashan shook his head slightly. I only remember that after giving birth to a child, the family left as soon as the child could walk. I want to know, where does my grandfather live? Zhu Wang asked with a smile. Uncle Zhu was my idol when I was young. At that time, in our village, his house was the only one with a TV, and his house was a courtyard house, Zhang Dashan explained. When the elders around heard this, they understood a little. No wonder he can marry a wife who was many years younger, but it turns out that there's another person. Suddenly, a white-haired old man looked surprised. You said the courtyard house, that is the old house in our village. Is it, the courtyard house on the top of the mountain? Yes, it is Wang Duan's family. Zhang Dashan talked about this house, with a look in his eyes. Endless hatred passed through him. When the people around heard this, their expressions changed. What's wrong? Is there any story? Fen Lin noticed their faces and asked strangely. Wang Duan's grandfather once owned a land in the village. Not long after Uncle Zhu left, he took over the big courtyard. Now Wang Duan is also a tyrant in the village. Meet the city leaders. No one in the town dares to provoke him. If it weren't for this Huazi, we wouldn't say anything. Not only Zhang Dashan, but also the remaining elders also do the same. Fen Lin heard this and looked at Zhu Wang. What should I do? What else can I do? Go to my grandfather's house, maybe I'll leave something good. Zhu Wang said coldly, actually occupying her grandfather's house for nothing. Reason. If it is a good person, borrow it. Zhu Wang can't say anything. The other party turned out to be a disaster, so he planned to teach him a lesson. I advise you not to go there. Wang Duan is not easy to mess with. He has many young people in the society. If you are so beautiful, he will definitely find trouble with you. Zhang Dashan warned, with a touch of helplessness in his eyes. Uncle, don't worry. Zhu Wang raised her swollen head. She was now an ancient warrior. Before leaving, Zhu Wang took a few bottles of good wine from the car and placed them in front of Zhang Dashan. Uncle, this is for you. That's shameful. Zhang Dashan lowered his head and looked. This is good. Came. Take it, my wife has a lot of money. Fen Lin laughed and got into the car with Zhu Wang. This time, Fen Lin drove to the top of the mountain and sure enough, he could see the courtyard from a distance. The area is very large and the style is similar to those courtyard houses in Yajing that are worth hundreds of millions. You have to imitate him. Logically speaking, traditional GRB buildings should not be courtyard houses of this size. The wooden patio door was open and a white BMW Series 1 was parked next to it. Fen Lin parked the car next to him and got out of the car with Zhu Wang. As soon as the two walked towards the red wooden door, a young man came out. His hair was dyed yellow and his little eyes were shining. When he saw Zhu Wang in front of him, his little eyes immediately widened. Shit. Miss, it's so big. Wang Zhouqiang's eyes almost bulged out. He had seen many beauties, but this was the first time he had seen such a beautiful woman. None of the television stars can compare with her. Are you Wang Duan? Zhu Wang asked coldly. Wang Duan is my father and my name is Wang Zhouqiang. I don't have a girlfriend yet. Wang Zhouqiang laughed, keeping his eyes fixed in front of Zhu Wang. Especially the two big characters who were deformed. When Fen Lin saw this, he stood in front of Zhu Wang with an unhappy expression. What are you looking at? You seem to be quite crazy. Do you know who you are talking to? Wang Zhouqiang said proudly. Fuck you, uncle. Fen Lin kicked Wang Zhouqiang to the ground. Boom. Wang Zhouqiang's butt suddenly sat on the ground, his pelvis trembled violently, his legs felt numb, and he lost consciousness from the pain. Fen Lin looked at Zhu Wang and took her inside. Brat, do you know who my dad is? Do you dare to touch me? You don't want your life. Wang Zhouqiang roared in pain. He immediately took out his cell phone and called his father. Fen Lin did not stop him. His current goal was to find his father. The two opened the door and found that the interior walls had been decorated. Furniture is also modern products. It's definitely not the furniture from back then. Now we just have to wait until Wang Duan comes and asks where the things that used to be here have gone. If he throws away all the things that Zhuge-san left behind, then this clue will be broken. Fen Lin walked out of the door again and looked at Wang Zhouqiang who was about to get up. Have you called your dad? Bad boy. Just wait for me. When my dad comes back, I will cut you and feed you. To the dogs. Wang Zhouqiang scolded Fen Lin angrily with a sinister look in his eyes. I'm waiting. As soon as Fen Lin finished speaking, a young man ran in from outside. He seemed to be in his 20s and his body was a little thin. When Wang Zhouqiang saw this man, he immediately shouted at him. Zhangchu, go and call all the people in the village. Kill this man for me. Zhangchu did not do as he was told. He looked at Fen Lin anxiously. Hurry up. Runs. Someone in the village is coming to stop you. Who are you? Fen Lin looked at Zhang Shu calmly. I am Zhang Dashan's grandson. Run, it's Wang Duan who called the villagers and asked them to stop you. The people in the village are afraid of Wang Duan and dare not disobey. Zhang Shu stepped forward and grabbed Fen Lin's arm. Pull him out. Fen Lin couldn't help but smile. This Zhang Dashan was quite interesting. Zhang Shu, you are looking for death. Do you dare to go against me? Believe it or not, I will kill your grandfather first. Wang Zhouqiang's eyes were full of murderous intent. It turned out that he came here to tell the news. Brother, don't be afraid. Fen Lin found that this young man was quite powerful. While they were chatting, the mountain road in the distance was blocked by a group of young and middle-aged people from the village, with shovels and hoes in their hands. In the end, Fen Lin was surrounded by everyone. Brat, you're done. Wang Zhouqiang saw the villagers there and shouted, destroy this brat. Your dad told us to stop them. The leader was a middle-aged man with a crew cut. He said calmly. What the hell? Trash. Trash. Wang Zhouqiang cursed angrily. Stop nagging and rest. Fen Lin kicked Wang Zhouqiang in the head. Bang. Wang Zhouqiang's head hit the ground hard, causing his brain to become dizzy, his vision darkened and he almost fell. Zhang Shu, take your grandfather and leave immediately. Wang Duan didn't let us stop you. You and your grandfather will suffer if you stay here, the leading middle-aged man said with a frown. Fen Lin put his hands in his trouser pockets and looked at the people in front of him with a smile. Why did you stop me? Just because I hit this kid? We can't afford to offend Wang Duan. There are several disobedient people in the village who are already dead. The team leader at the front said to Fen Lin. Fen Lin asked, why didn't you call the police? All your people were in the town. They went to the county to call the police. They had evidence of an alibi. One of them was killed because he went to the county to call the police. We're just regular people. Ordinary people with flat heads. No one makes decisions for us. Nobody. Do you understand? The middle-aged man with flat heads roared at Fen Lin, his voice full of reluctance and grievance. Those people know how to play tight guy, pushing this department into that department, and that department pushing into this department. Still they have to work to earn money, so how will they have time to do useless jobs? Chapter 384 You can leave first. Hello, you pathetic people, Fen Lin sighed, you are so pitiful. You can gather so many people, but you don't dare to resist. Fen Lin. Stop talking, everyone has their own difficulties. Zhou Wang walked over, looked at Fen Lin. Okay, I won't say it. Fen Lin lightly jumped on the roof of the BMW, sat on it, and said expressionlessly, I'll give you some face. If I don't leave, I'll wait. Here. Thank you. The middle-aged man with a flat head nodded. Brother, I think you should listen to them and take your grandfather. This time we will be the ones who will hurt you. Fen Lin looked at Zhang Shu next to him. I won't leave. My grandfather said that he had been a coward all his life, and this time he decided to fight for Uncle Zhu. Zhang Shu's eyes turned red unconsciously. Maybe you don't know, if you go to the county you must report, in the end you will be rejected. The person who fell off the cliff and died was my father. Hearing this, Fen Lin stopped abruptly. At this moment, the sound of a car appeared in the distance. Immediately afterwards, 5 Haval H6s were parked on the side of the road. More than a dozen people got out of the vehicle, most with machetes in their hands. The leader was a bald man with a scar on his head and Buddhist beads wrapped around his wrist. I have to say that for ordinary people, this outfit is a bit intimidating. When the villagers saw this, they hurriedly moved out of the way to make way for them. Wang Zhouqiang, who was still lying on the ground, saw his father come in, and his face burst with joy. Dad. Dad. This bald man was Wang Duan. He walked over here with a cigarette in his mouth and a grim expression on his face. He looked at Fen Lin on the roof of the BMW and asked lightly, is that you? Fen Lin didn't speak, just looked at him. Without any expression, brat. The prince is asking you a question. Are you deaf? The strong man next to Wang Duan raised his machete, pointed at Fen Lin and shouted. Dad, that's him, destroy him. Wang Zhouqiang pointed at Fen Lin and cursed. By the way. And this Zhang Shu, he is also in the same group. Wang Duan took a drag on the cigarette and looked at Fen Lin. Lin indifferently, stop me yes. The strong man next to him held a machete and walked towards Fen Lin. Zhang Shu, I found out that your family is naturally rebellious. Wang Duan showed a sarcastic smile. Ask yourself, what is the benefit of offending me? Your father is dead, your mother has run away, your brother dare not come back. Only you and your grandfather depend on each other for life. Wang Duan, I will fight for you. Zhang Chu's eyes were red and bloodshot, and he rushed towards Wang Duan regardless of his safety. Don't be carried away by anger, warned Feng Lin jumped out of the car and warned, at this time, you better take care of yourself first. The strong man with a machete slashed at Feng Lin's arm. Stood in front of Feng Lin. He raised his jade hand and easily grabbed the incoming sword. Zhu Wang hit the opponent on the head with a backhand blow. The strong man's body suddenly flew to the side, shattering the window of the BMW next to him, and half of his body entered. Who do you think you are? You dare to touch my man? Zhu Wang was still holding the opponent's machete in her hand. Shock. Everyone around was stunned when they saw this. This woman is so capable of fighting. The angrier you are, the calmer you should be. Look, now we have weapons in our hands. Feng Lin took the machete from Zhu Wang's hand, then turned and looked at Wang Zhouqian, who was still sitting on the look, we still have hostages. As he spoke, Feng Lin walked towards Wang Zhouqian step by step. What are you going to do? Dad. Aid. Help. Wang Zhouqian was scared by Feng Lin's impulse and shouted at Wang Duan. Don't worry. As long as he dares to touch you, I will make him live or die. Wang Duan turned the prayer beads with an expressionless face. Ordinary people would not dare to do anything even if he had a hostage in his hands. But the next moment, his pupils suddenly shrank. Feng Lin's machete plunged forcefully into the ground, directly penetrating Wang Zhouqian's arm. Ah! Wang Zhouqian wailed, drooling in pain and almost fainted when he looked at the blood on Feng Lin stared blankly at Wang Duan. Come here and kneel, otherwise his arm will disappear, how dare you! Wang Duan growled fiercely. Seeing this, the villagers there were scared and made a fuss, and some even mimicked. Isn't this man afraid of going to jail? Wow! Wow! Wang Zhouqian roared in fright, his face twisted and he finally burst into tears. He couldn't believe that this kind of thing would happen to him. Finally, he fainted from fear. Everyone on Wang Duan's side also frowned, they didn't expect this young man to be so cruel. Call the police. Call the police immediately. When Wang Duan saw this, he quickly said to the younger brother next to him. Okay, let's start our business. Feng Lin walked towards Wang Duan and asked calmly, do you know who owns this house? This is my ancestor's house. Wang Duan said coldly, but he is not. He is afraid of Feng Lin. He has a good brother who was the leader's driver. He also had dinner several times with the leader. Not only that, he and a local police officer were also his brothers. Surrounded by his people, this young man had nothing to fight with himself. The owner of this house is called Zhu, Feng Lin said coldly. Tell me, where are the old items in this store? Zhu Wang also walked over and asked. Who do you think you are? This is my house and you dare to ask me for something. Wang Duan opened his arms and looked at the people behind him. Do you think I'm afraid of you? It seems that I want to talk to you properly, yes. It won't work, Feng said. Lin expressionless. Haha. You really don't think this woman can defeat all of us, do you? Wang Duan shook his head and said proudly, there is someone above me. Do you understand? Stop talking nonsense. Lin raised his machete and attacked Wang Duan. When the many strong men behind him saw this, they all rushed towards Feng Lin. Seeing this, Zhu Wang immediately stepped forward to stop him. Now that he has entered the Middle Argent stage, dealing with these people is as easy as eating and drinking. In just 3 strokes, 5 divided by 2, he threw all these people out. The people around couldn't believe it. Who was this woman? While Wang Duan was still shocked, Feng Lin's machete landed on his shoulder and the blade penetrated 3 to 4 centimeters. Blood dripped down his sleeves. Boom. Feng Lin whipped Wang Duan on the neck and he fell to the ground. The bones made a crunching sound. Wang Duan roared, but there was no fear in his eyes. Instead he shouted angrily, you bastard. Kill me if you can. At this time, a police car approached from a distance. Seeing this, Wang Duan's face burst with joy, haha. It's coming. It's coming. Feng Lin looked at Zhu Wang, you can leave first, because what I am going to do next is a bit violent. P.S. Brother hello guys, I have been free these days. There are 4 updates today and there will be another update around 10:30 p.m. Please support me. Chapter 385 Anger ignited. Zhu Wang said calmly. I am also someone who has seen great scenes. I am not afraid. It's okay, your strength is not bad now. It's time for you to see a wider world. Feng Lin looked at Zhu Wang. It is now in the intermediate stage of dark energy. In the Secret Legion, he can also be considered a critical member. A vehicle in the distance stopped and out stepped a middle-aged man, dressed in uniform, with short hair and a Chinese-like face. When Wang Duan saw this middle-aged man, there was a burst of joy on his face. Brother Li. You're here. Catch this man quickly. Li Sanqiao looked at Fen Lin and saw the wound on Wang Duan's shoulder. There is also Wang Zhouqian, who was covered in blood, has a broken arm, and his eyes are getting colder. Did you do it? Li Sanqiao walked over and looked at Fen Lin and asked. No. It's me. At this moment, Zhang Shu roared there, gritted his teeth and rushed towards Wang Duan. He took out the machete and cut off Wang Duan's head. At this moment, Wang Duan's eyes widened and he screamed in fear. However, the machete stopped in front of Wang Duan's neck. Fen Lin grabbed Zhang Shu's wrist and asked with a smile, "What are you going to do?" "Brother. You don't know. This Li Sanqiao is a scumbag, he is not a police officer." Zhang Shu explained next to him. It turns out that Li Sanqiao has a twin brother named Li Ruqiao. The real police officer should be Li Ruqiao. He was a truly good man. He was chasing Wang Duan and was killed. Later, Wang Duan approached Li Sanqiao and asked him to take this position. He knew someone entangled was able to take over for several years without anyone noticing. Li Sanqiao later changed his name and became a police officer. At that time, Zhang Shu's father found out about this incident and went to the county to report it. But the superiors asked him to play tough guy, but no one accepted. Finally, Wang Duan found out and asked someone to push him off the cliff. When Fen Lin heard this, his eyes gradually became cold, but he didn't expect this matter to be included in it. "Boy, I advise you not to talk nonsense. What evidence do you have?" Li Sanqiao's expression changed and he took out the handcuffs from his body. "You are suspected of murder. I want to arrest you. Even if I die. I want revenge." Zhang Shu tightened his grip on the machete and attacked Wang Duan again. "Don't worry, I'll take care of everything." Fen Lin took the machete in his hand and pushed Zhang Shu away. "I will now seek justice for you." Zhang Shu wiped away her tears, nodded and said in a low voice, "Don't worry, I will do it for you. The one who takes the blame. There's no need." Fen Lin looked at Wang Duan indifferently and said in a low voice, "Do you know? Whenever a mosquito bites me, I will slap it to death, but sometimes I will sympathize." My heart was overflowing, so I simply took out the needle to suck blood. And I let her go. As he spoke, Fen Lin slashed out with his sword. Brush. Blood sprayed. One of Wang Duan's arms flew out. When everyone around saw this, they were so scared that they didn't dare to breathe. "Is this person crazy? How dare you do this in front of Li Sanqiao?" Wang Duan shouted like a killing pig, and fear finally appeared in his eyes. Seeing Fen Lin raise the knife again, he wailed, "No. Brother, I was wrong. I was wrong." Brush. Fen Lin slashed with his sword again and Wang Duan's other arm flew away. "This is my kindness. I cut off the hand that has done all the bad things, but I will still let you live." Fen Lin looked at Zhu Ruang next to him lightly and asked in a low voice, "Are you afraid?" "Not afraid." Zhu Ruang shook his head. His eyes were firm. "You are looking for death. You are looking for death." Li Sanqiao was also scared by the scene in front of him, but this was just a normal mission and he was not equipped with a gun. If so, he could have shot Fen Lin directly. "Brother Li. Call Brother Liu, call." Wang Duan opened his mouth and howled, drooling from his mouth. "It's terrible, it's terrible." Now, even if the person in front of him is cut into pieces, it can't make up for his trauma. He became a boss only by strong means. Now that he no longer has his arm, someone will definitely turn against him in the future. "I'll make a call now." Li Sanqiao immediately took out his mobile phone, pointed at Fen Lin, and said cautiously, "Don't leave if you have the ability." "If I don't leave, do you think you're the only one who can call to people?" Fen Lin also smiled and took out his mobile phone. "Brat. Do you know who Brother Liu is?" "He is the leader's driver." Wang Duan smiled coldly. "This time Brother Liu will bring all the police officers to catch you, you bastard." "I'm scared to death." It turned out to be the driver. Fen Lin dialed the number and walked away. At this moment, an old man walking on crutches arrived from a distance. This man was Zhang Dashan. Zhang Shu saw his grandfather coming and ran away crying. Zhang Dashan couldn't help but laugh when he saw that Wang Duan's arms had disappeared. "Haha. Okay. Good job. Grandpa. That guy did it." Zhang Shu pointed to the caller in the distance. Fen Lin said, "No. I cut him off. This beast killed my son and I did it." Zhang Dashan turned around and shouted at the villagers over there, "Do you understand? I did it. Shit. I did that." When Pen 2, the leader there, saw this, the anger in his heart finally burned. He had enough. He decided to get up. "No. It's me. It's me." The surrounding villagers were excited. They didn't think this time would be so important. No one will pay attention here yet. They all took the farming tools in their hands and walked towards Wang Duan. The strong men lying on the ground around them were so scared when they saw so many villagers that they fell to the ground and pretended to be dead. You're rebelling. Wang Duan looked at the villagers approaching him and was so scared that he wanted to dodge. But now he couldn't get up at all. Wang Duan. Have you thought about today? The middle-aged leader hit Wang Duan on the leg with a shuttle. Ah! Wang Duan screamed in pain again and his brain reacted instinctively, causing him to reach out and cover. However, he had no hands to stretch out. The other surrounding villagers also attacked Wang Duan. Come on. Zhang Dashan walked over with the support of Zhang Shu and said to Fen Lin. I said, leave this matter to me. Fen Lin put his hands in his trouser pockets and continued to wait here. Hey, Zhang Dashan pleaded helplessly. What else could he do at this moment? However, he has decided to take the blame for Fen Lin since he won't live a few more years anyway. Shortly after, it was heard in the distance the sound of police sirens. Li Sanqiao laughed out loud. Haha. All our police stations are out this time, just wait to die. Not long after, 5 police cars appeared in the distance. A middle-aged man in a suit got out of the passenger seat of the first car. He looks quite human, with some wrinkles on his face. Cheeks. He is Liu. A simple driver, but Wang Duan's sponsor. Next to him were a dozen police officers who fired a warning shot into the air. They hit Wang Duan stopped. Wang Duan's body was covered in blood, but when he saw Liu, he couldn't help but laugh. Haha. Brother Liu, you're finally here. Liu took a few steps forward and looked at everything happening here. There was pride in his voice. Who did it? I did it. I did it. It's me. It's me. The villagers around him took his place, but Fen Lin walked out with a smile. I did it. Brother Liu. It's him. Wang Duan's face twisted. Haha. Brat. Where are your people? Let them come. I want to see how amazing they are. How dare they act presumptuously in front of my brother Liu. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novellas, we cordially invite you to visit our channel. There you will find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 386. This is my boss. Liu looked at her phone and showed an impatient expression. What are you doing standing around? Why don't you arrest him? He seemed arrogant, as if what was happening here was a trivial matter that was wasting his time. Driver, you are so domineering. Fen Lin looked at Zhu Ruoying next to him. Let him lie down. I don't like this kind of person. He talks to me while standing. Zhu Ruoying looked at Liu and walked quickly. Let's get closer. At a distance of 2 meters from Liu, his figure suddenly flashed and appeared behind Liu in a blink of an eye. Kick him in the leg. This time he used Jin, who obviously looked weak, but Liu's legs instantly lost consciousness. Liu looked in disbelief and knelt on the ground with her legs uncontrollably. Ah! The pain made him gasp. He seemed a little bored. How long? How long has it been since someone dared to do this to themselves? He has just graduated from high school, and when he was in high school, several people in his class kept bullying him. But he was too cowardly to defend himself. But he learned a skill, that of a fox posing as a tiger. He often acts as a pawn for rich people and gets to know more and more people. Over time, he discovered that everyone praised him. Only then did he understand the true meaning of life. It turns out that it is wrong to say that he would rather make a chicken head than a phoenix tail. No matter how humble the phoenix tail is, it is still part of the phoenix. Chicken is always just food. In total, 20 years have passed and someone dares to hit him again. Liu looked grim and shouted angrily, Who do you think you are? How dare you touch me? Zhu Ruoying was not afraid at all. Now she is no longer the submissive and ordinary woman she once was. He looked at Fen Lin, waiting for his order. Fen Lin smiled and pointed to the sky. Look, justice comes from heaven. After Fen Lin reminded him, everyone around heard the sound of the helicopter. Everyone raised their heads, and when they saw the helicopter descending little by little, they were so scared that they did not dare to breathe. Everyone here, including Zhu Ruoying, have never seen such a big scene. The helicopter stopped in the distance and a tall man in a suit jumped out with a smile. This person is Li Chang. Behind him were 2 young men in suits with confident smiles on their faces. Boss, you disappoint me very much. I thought you were a powerful person, but I didn't expect you to be trash. Li Chang walked towards Fen Lin with a smile. The 2 young men behind him were blinded. Its boss can be considered a legendary figure. In fact, he called it young boss. Who was this young man? Li Pa-chen turned to a few people and said, "You know, the reason why I am so powerful is because of my boss's cultivation, so they are also your bosses." Zhou Wang was a little confused. "Isn't it Feng? Is Lin a doctor? Could this tall middle-aged man be Feng Lin's apprentice?" "Hello, boss." The two young men with fiery eyes shouted loudly. The voice was as loud as a tiger and it really hurt the ears of everyone present. Feng Lin looked at the two people and found that they had entered the realm of resonance. Obviously, they should be Li Pa-chen's favorite disciples, and he is willing to let them see the world. At this moment, the cell phone of the middle-aged man in the lead rang. He looked at the number and seemed surprised. It was the mobile phone number of the head of the police station. "You know, he's just a submitted branch." "Hey. Mr. Zhao, Goutai, the country's secret agency, carries out tasks in the area under its jurisdiction. We will cooperate unconditionally," the voice of the middle-aged man opposite came. Finally, Li Pa-chen's identity was revealed. This person turned out to be Mr. Li Pa-chen. Goutai remembered that he had learned about it when he went to a meeting and had dinner with some bigwigs. These people are all patron saints and an ordinary team member is powerful enough. Unexpectedly, Li Pa-chen came in person this time. His face was solemn and he immediately put away his phone. "Mr. Li Pa-chen, please send me a message from above and ask me to cooperate fully." When everyone around saw this, they were dumbfounded. Now it seems that these people are not simple. However, there is no need to remind you that these people are not simple just by looking at them. Wang Duan, who was still lying on the ground, felt his soul tremble. Who did he provoke? This time it's over. Liu looked at him in disbelief. He was just a driver pretending to be powerful. He usually hides it from his superiors and secretly does bad things. If he is discovered, he will be ruined for the rest of his life. Li Sanqiao was even more scared. He quietly hid behind the car and prepared to escape down the mountain. Oh! A young man behind Li Pa-chen disappeared instantly. The next moment, he reappeared. He grabbed Li Sanqiao by the back of his neck and threw him to the ground. "Spare my life! Spare my life!" Li Sanqiao was so scared that he knelt down and begged for mercy. Zhou Wang heard the second master say that Lan Rao seemed to have joined these people. I didn't expect this to be true. However, if you think about it carefully, it is normal. Ordinary people have no advantage when facing ancient warriors. These people must exist to maintain the order of the ancient warriors, otherwise there will be chaos. Now, you guys are close. Li Pa-chen stood as straight as a sword, looked at Feng Lin and asked, "Boss, you can take care of this kind of thing yourself. What's the point of calling me? Have you forgotten?" Feng Lin's death knight finally disbanded. To deal with these people, Li Pa-chen is the best person to attract people's attention. "That's it," Li Pa-chen nodded. "Your name is Goutai." Feng Lin looked at the police chief in the distance. "Yes." Goutai nodded. "Who was driving the car?" "Let him see this bastard." Feng Lin pointed at Liu who was kneeling on the ground. "Yes." Goutai took out his phone and reported immediately. Chapter 387. "We haven't seen each other for a few days, why are you so embarrassed?" As for the large number of people here, they all danced with excitement when they saw this. Finally someone has made the decision for us. No. I'm going to call my wife and children to show them that evil will be punished. I'll go too. The surrounding villagers were all excited and came down the mountain to shout, "Come with your own family." After a while, many people gathered here. Wang Duan felt like an animal being criticized and watched. Shortly after, another police car arrived from afar. A bald middle-aged man, led by a police officer, walked quickly over there. When Goutai saw that people had been brought, he immediately looked at Li Pa-chen and said respectfully, "Boss Li, people have been brought." "Boss." Liu Min was stunned on the spot. The leader of a small town, could actually meet such an important fish. He hurriedly walked over and lowered his head gently. "My name is Liu Ming. What's the matter with calling me here? Didn't you know that I was called here?" Feng Lin asked expressionlessly. Liu Min looked around and found that there seemed to have been a battle here. There was blood all over the floor and there were several arms. Suddenly, he discovered that his driver was here, but he was kneeling here. "Liu. What's going on?" Liu Ming asked sharply. Liu lowered her head and remained silent. Feng Lin greeted Zhang Chu. Zhang Chu supported his grandfather and they approached together. "I said, I will seek justice for you." Feng Lin patted Zhang Chu on the shoulder. "Tell me everything." "All right." Zhang Chu nodded and told Liu Min all the truth he knew. From the time when Wang Duan killed the police officer, until now. Liu Min's face turned pale when he heard this and he looked at Liu fiercely. What do you have to say now? Fen Lin looked at Liu Min with a gloomy face. You're Liu's bagger. Liu. I thought you were honest and asked you to be my driver, and this is what you did to me. Liu Min roared angrily. Mr. Liu, spare my life. Liu was originally a coward, but by chance, he became the driver of a big shot. The key is that they both had the surname Liu, so he secretly spread rumors that he was a distant relative of Liu Ming. Thus the fox claims to be the power of the tiger, which lasts more than 20 years. Now he was finally afraid. He didn't expect that such a big shot would be provoked by trash like White Wan. If it weren't for White Wan, he would still be alive and well. This matter also has something to do with me. I will write a report to the superiors immediately, resign my position, and hold the superiors responsible. Liu Min looked at Fen Lin. Fen Lin did not pay attention to him, but walked towards White Wan, knelt down and asked calmly, My people have arrived, do you still have anyone? Lord, please forgive me. I know I was wrong, I know. I was wrong. White Wan lamented bitterly and bit madly to Fen Lin. Fen Lin calmly asked, It's still the same question as before, where have you done all the things in this family? It's been a long time since you threw away some old furniture and some of the books that were left were sold as waste paper. White Wan hurried to explain. In today's era, things become obsolete too quickly. For example, the original black and white televisions, sewing machines, etc. These are all useless and have been thrown away a long time ago. Hearing this, Zhuo said helplessly. After so much effort, the traps were finally broken. Boss, what should we do with these people? Li Pa-chen pointed to the people kneeling on the ground. Been famous for 10 or 20 years, that's enough, Fen Lin said with an indifferent expression. White Wan, Li Sanqiao and Liu suddenly turned pale. Especially Li Sanqiao and Liu. The two of them only provided comfort to White Wan and had never killed anyone. It is logical that they do not impose the death penalty. Spare your life, I know I was wrong. Don't kill me, don't kill me. Several people were so scared that they lay on the ground begging for mercy, with fear on their faces. Li Pa-chen looked around him calmly. Everyone is waiting. Leave immediately. Everyone in the police station, as well as Liu Ming, were evacuated first. Some women and children in the village were also expelled. This kind of scene was not suitable for them to see. However, there are many men left here and they are not afraid. Kill. Li Pa-chen ordered. Swish, brush, brush. 3 swords pierced the neck and the 3 people in front of them fell with fear on their faces. The surrounding villagers had cold eyes. Very happy. Finally dead. Finally dead. Zhang Dashan burst into tears. Son, you can finally rest in peace. Zhang Shu also began to cry bitterly. You can go. Remember to dispose of the body. Fen Lin looked at Li Pa-chen next to him and said calmly. Boss, next time something like this happens, I won't come. If it's a fight, I will definitely come to help. Li Pa-chen smiled and ordered everyone. Close the team. Work hard. You still have the opportunity to join us. Yes. Fen Lin said with a smile. Boss. I love you to death. Get out. Li Pa-chen took several corpses and left with all the team members. Zhuo looked at the courtyard behind her and said with a helpless smile. From now on, my grandfather's house will become a public place. I will allocate a sum of money to build a senior center here. Thank you, you really are living Buddhas. Everyone around burst into tears of gratitude. The fog that weighed on my head has dissipated and since then the weather has been sunny. Just as everyone was leaving, Zhang Dashan suddenly turned around. I suddenly remembered something. What? Zhuo hurriedly asked. Now in this village, the only one who knows about his grandfather is this old man. If you want to find traces of your grandfather, there are still people who know. Zhang Dashan shook his head slightly, but I don't know if they have moved. Uncle Zhu's wife is called Zhao Yanfen. I remember he said he is from Mek City in the Central Plains, Zhang Dashan explained, but too many years have passed. I'm not sure of his family lineage. She still is. Thank you. As long as you know the location, you can always find it. Fen Lin's hometown is in the Central Plains and he is familiar with Mek City. It is not far from his hometown. Zhuo looked at Fen Lin and nodded slightly. It seems I have to go there. At this moment, White Zhouqiang stood up from the ground in the distance, covered his broken arm, and looked around. He found that his father had disappeared, but Fen Lin was still there. He immediately roared. Brat, just wait. My dad is going to call someone. Do you know who the big shots my dad knows are? Shut up. Zhang Shu frowned and shouted. Damn. Zhang Shu, why are you waiting for me? Your grandfather won't survive in 3 days. White Zhouqiang cursed angrily. I'm going to. Zhang Chu rushed over and kicked Wang Zhouqian in the face. How dare you hit me? Bastard! Wang Zhouqian was cursing when he noticed 4 or 5 young men, around 20 years old, walking in the distance. Seeing them, Wang Zhouqian smiled. They were all young men from the village. Always obey yourself. Guys, kill Zhang Chu! Wang Zhouqian shouted at several people. This young man walked over and the long-faced young man in charge slapped Wang Zhouqian. Hey, isn't this brother Zhouqian? We haven't seen each other for a few days, why are you like this? The long-faced man sneered. P.S. There are still 4 updates today, this is the second update, the previous chapter was locked and can only be modified. Chapter 388 right next to you. Wang Zhouqian covered his face, feeling a little dazed. Are you looking for death and dare to hit me? Be careful with my dad, your dad. Your dad is dead. Didn't you see the blood? Over there. The long-faced man pointed into the distance. The blood on the ground. Haha. Brother Zhouqian, we clearly remember when you considered us dogs. Speaking of which, a few days ago, you made me jump into a sewer. These people hid cold faces. They were beaten by Wang Zhouqian, harassed too much. Now I can finally take revenge. Impossible. How could my father die? Wang Zhouqian roared, still in disbelief. Then I'm going to beat you. Let your dad come see me. Another young man kicked Wang Zhouqian in the face. As soon as Zhu Ruang extended her hand, Fen Lin grabbed it. Evil people have their own trials and tribulations. Calm down. Fen Lin put Zhu Ruang into the car. Before leaving, Fen Lin said goodbye to Zhang Dashan. Zhu Ruang stopped the car at the foot of the mountain and called Zhao King to tell him the location. Let him find someone to build a senior center on the top of the mountain in the near future. After everything was over, Zhu Ruang drove to the Central Plains. After taking the road, Zhu Ruang looked at Fen Lin and asked, who was this? You. Sir, I call you boss. I saved his life when he was a soldier, but I didn't expect that these years. He was promoted so quickly. Fen Lin closed his eyes and said lightly. Are you also an ancient warrior? Zhu Ruang looked at Fen Lin and asked. Why you ask? Fen Lin opened his eyes and turned his head towards Zhu Ruang's flawless profile. Today, Autumn, you put pressure on me this morning. I struggled and tried my best to break free, Zhu Ruang said. Did you use 3 points of strength? Okay. Zhu Ruang, are you hiding it well? You obviously want to suck, shut up. Zhu Ruang yelled and said with a red face. I'm afraid to use all my strength. Break your arm. Indeed, I am an ancient warrior, but you are not as strong as me, are you? Zhu Ruang interrupted Fen Lin, this is normal, I am genius after all, don't feel inferior. She learned from Man Changsheng that her cultivation speed could only be described as divine speed. She now knows a lot about the ancients. Warriors. Masters who possess the transformation realm are considered rich. In a short period of time, she herself reached the middle stage of dark strength. After 2 more stages, you will be able to enter the transformation realm. Rich and powerful masters in the realm of transformation is not an old man. I have been here for several months. So Zhu Ruang knew that she was a genius. It was understandable that Fen Lin couldn't compare with him. If it weren't for Objin Guji pushing her, she could. Well, you're right. Fen Lin didn't bother to explain and smiled coquettishly. Don't worry, even if I become a peerless master, I won't dislike you. But you have to be obedient. Since you are also an ancient warrior, if you disobey next time I will beat you up. It's like no one loves me. Who can see my medical skills without being respectful? Fen Lin put his hands on the back of his head and curled his lips. Believe it or not, I will beat you up now. Zhu Ruang turned to look at Fen Lin. You're driving, don't look at me. Fen Lin immediately pointed forward. Humph. Zhu Ruang raised her face and looked forward again, Central Plains Dream City. It was already dusk when the two arrived. Here Zhu Ruang drove the car to a hotel. The two got out of the car and Zhu Ruang asked, how should we find him? Have you forgotten who I am? I'll go to the okay, thanks. Zhu Ruang looked at Fen Lin with some gratitude. It really helped her a lot. However, Zhu Ruang had already decided that she would stay with Fen Lin for the rest of her life. The two went to the hotel and randomly booked a standard room. Fen Lin asked Zhu Ruang to wait here while he went to the police station alone. His hometown is located between Los Angeles City and Mem City. As a child, I often accompanied my father to and from these two cities. The head of the police station also knew Fen Lin. After Fen Lin arrived at the police station, he saw Bureau Yu here. Liu Yang is almost 60 years old and tall. Uncle Yu, long time no see. Fen Lin walked over with a smile on his face. Damn. Fen Lin, you're here. Liu Yan looked at him in surprise and immediately walked over and put his arms around Feng Lin's shoulders. Other police officers around him looked askance. Liu Yan is usually very dignified, but the young police officers here have never seen him smile so happily. What are you doing here this time? Do you have another mission? Liu Yan asked with a smile. Feng Lin nodded. Yes, investigate the individual. Liu Yan didn't know about Feng Lin, he only knew that Feng Lin was from the Secret Legion. Regarding Death Knight and Feng Lin's retreat, his level is still unknown. Say, I only have time. Liu Yan put his arm around Feng Lin's shoulders and walked towards the household registration room at the police station. I want to investigate a woman named Zhao Yanfen. She is dead. She is almost 100 years old now, Feng Lin explained along the way. Are you sure it's from Nexus? Liu Yan asked. Okay, Feng Lin nodded. Liu Yan immediately asked the people here to start investigating. After working until nightfall, the Zhao family's information was finally found. 50 years ago, the Zhao family was still considered a big family here. But then it mysteriously disappeared. Look, Zhao Yuanfen and Liu Yan retrieved information, most of which was handwritten. Can survivors be found? Feng Lin looked at the information and said in a deep voice. Look again. Liu Yan faced the people around him, who were frantically flipping through the records. Suddenly, a female police officer came over with information in her arms. Boss, look, more than 50 years ago, someone came to apply for household registration to get married. Who? Liu Yan asked. My name is Xiaoxi. I got married in Yan City, Jianbai, the police said while pressing their fingers on the information. That. Feng Lin stood up in shock. Xiaoxi. Isn't that Zhamu and Zhao Yu's grandmother? Feng Lin remembered that the reason why the Zhao family became a rich family was because of Xiaoxi. Because next to Xiaoxi, there was an old man named Zhao Chen. He is the guardian of the Zhao family. Feng Lin couldn't believe it. After looking around, this person was next to him. Boss, we found another person, but there are not many records. This man's name is Zhao Yiwei. Another police officer came over with information. What? Zhao Yiwei. He was in Owo City in the Central Plains and then went to Jiabai. Feng Lin hurried. He was adopted after the Zhao family was destroyed. He grew up in Owo City in the Central Plains, the police officer responded. No way, it's a coincidence. Feng Lin had a wry smile on his face. You know, Zhao King's father is called Zhao Yiwei. When he was in high school, Feng Lin went to see a doctor for him. However, his illness was caused by overwork. Even if Feng Lin was cured at that time, he'd begin to get tired again and are prone to relapse. Maybe that's why he got sick and died. Chapter 389 The Seedlings of the Ancient Zhao Family. Feng Lin couldn't believe it. It turned out that all of this was destined. Everyone is on your side. He searched hard here again, but found nothing else. However, this time I finally have a clue. Zhao King may not know anything, but Zhao Xi definitely knows. He looked to be in his 60s or 70s and definitely knew how the Zhao family was destroyed. Feng Lin bid farewell to Liu Yan and returned. When I left it was already after 8 at night. Feng Lin called Zhu Ruang and asked if she had eaten. Zhu Ruang said not yet, she had been waiting there. So Feng Lin casually went to a restaurant to pack 2 bowls of rice and hurried back to the hotel. Back to the hotel. Zhu Ruang hurriedly walked over and grabbed Feng Lin's rice bowl. He asked nervously, is there any news? Yeah. Feng Lin nodded, opened the food and said, eat first and talk while you eat. Alright. Zhu Ruang did not move her chopsticks. He looked at Feng Lin. Feng Lin didn't say anything, but ate the rice in big bites. Eat, I'll tell you when I'm done. Okay. Zhu Ruang nodded and began to eat. Soon, the two finished the entire meal. Zhu Ruang packed up all the bags and threw them into the trash. He sat next to Feng Lin. Can we talk now? Hey. It's so awkward. Feng Lin stretched helplessly. I have been very busy with your affairs. You're a big guy. You bastard, are you thinking about obscene things again? Zhu Ruang hit Feng Lin on the arm with a pink fist. Am I miserable? So why did you use 3 strength points? Isn't this just half push and half given? Feng Lin had a smile on her face. I'll beat you to death. Zhu Ruang's pretty face turned red and she pressed Feng Lin under her. Are you going to tell me? I have a defect. When I tell stories, I always want to hold something in my hand. Feng Lin had a regretful expression on her face. Hey, I should have told you about my illness earlier. Okay, tell me quickly. Zhu Ruang's head was covered with black lines, but she still put her hands on helping me a lot, not to mention that she is his wife. Feng Lin took a deep breath and began to slowly talk about meeting Liu Yan. As he spoke, he thought about how good his relationship with Liu Yan was back then. But your grandmother. Get to the point. Zhu Ruang's pretty face could bleed with embarrassment. This guy kept talking here and there just to trap him some more. Okay. Here's the point, I won't bother you anymore. Fen Lin felt like he was almost done, put his hands away, lay down on the bed and told her about the investigation. What? Xiaoxi. King. Zhu Ruang's eyes almost popped out. Isn't this a coincidence? How could it be them? In fact, I saw it a long time ago, Fen Lin said suddenly. How was this said? Zhu Ruang asked doubtfully. Because Zhamu was also very big. I will bite you to death. Zhu Ruang pounced on Fen Lin and bit him on the shoulder. Wrong, bad. Fen Lin quickly begged for mercy. Huh. Zhu Ruang finally let go of him. She sat next to him, crossed her legs and said, but this time, the work was not in vain. Today, the two will rest here for the night. Early the next morning, Zhu Ruang took Fen Lin back. When we returned to Yan City, it was already noon. Zhu Ruang first took Fen Lin to the company to find Zhao King. Arriving at the president's office, Zhao King was sitting in the boss's chair, reviewing documents and contracts. Seeing Zhu Ruang and Fen Lin coming in, he immediately stood up. King, are you busy now? Zhu Ruang as soon as he entered. It's nothing, what's wrong? Zhao King asked strangely. Follow me, I'll take you somewhere. Zhu Ruang took Zhao King's hand and left without stopping. Fen Lin followed them. Arriving at the company lobby, Tan Hong in the distance was chatting with customers. Fen Lin simply smiled at him and left with Zhu Ruang and the others. This time Fen Lin drove and the two sat in the back seat. Sister, what happened? Zhao King asked strangely. Nothing, is your father's name Zhao Yiwei? Zhu Ruang asked. Yes, Fen Lin knows. Zhao King looked at Fen Lin. Just follow me. This time it seems that I know your life experience. Zhu Ruang smiled and grabbed Zhao King's little hand. In this way, Zhamu and King are both relatives. Then, if they marry Fen Lin, they can form an indestructible alliance. But thinking of this, Zhu Ruang suddenly opened her mouth. This hateful Fen Lin. He and all his relatives followed him, and he did not know in which life he received the blessing. Fen Lin drove to Shan Mountain. When the guard saw that it was Fen Lin, he immediately opened the door. Fen Lin drove directly to the middle of the mountain. The three got out of the car together. A middle-aged security guard ran from a distance and lowered his head towards Fen Lin. Mr. Fen Lin, what's wrong? Where is the old lady? Fen Lin asked with a smile. It's in the back mountain. The security guard pointed back. Sir, you can go there alone. Okay, Fen Lin nodded and looked at the two people around him. Follow me. Oh. Zhao King nodded. She looked around, amazed in her heart. Such a big mountain is actually a private place. Having been in Yan City for so long, she had naturally heard of the Zhao family. However, she had never have met. Usually Zhu Ruang talks to Zhamu directly without going through a third person. Come to the back mountain. Xiaoxi was sitting in a wheelchair eating. With some light vegetables. She was holding the rice and looking at the distant mountains while eating. Zhao Chen was behind her. Haha, you came at the wrong time. You didn't follow me to eat. When Xiaoxi saw Fen Lin, he chuckled and then looked at the two people behind Fen Lin. She knew Zhu Ruang, and all the previous miracle drugs were produced in cooperation with the Zhao family. She was able to put her mind to rest. Past suspicions with this woman. As long as Zhamu was not prevented from marrying Fen Lin, this is enough. As for the other person, Xiaoxi somewhat clouded-eyed suddenly whitened. And his eyes are so similar to his brother. And this nose little girl, who was your name Zhao? Xiaoxi's body trembled a little upon hearing the name Zhaoming. Zhao Chen, who was behind him, also looked at Zhao King in disbelief. I don't know Zhaoming. Zhao King shook her head. Grandpa, let me introduce you, this is Zhao King, and her father is Zhao Yiwei. Fen Lin put his arm around Zhao King's shoulders and explained with a smile. You are Zhao Yiwei's daughter and Zhaoming's granddaughter. Xiaoxi put the rice bowl in his hand on the wooden board, took the wooden board, and handed it to Zhao Chen. Next to her. After that, he got up with the help of his wheelchair and walked weakly towards Zhao King. Holding Zhao King in his arms, he burst into tears. I didn't expect that in my old age I could still find the seedlings of the ancient Zhao family. Where's your father? Chapter 390 The Destruction of the Zhao Family. My dad is dead. Zhao King didn't expect to have other relatives, so she also started crying. What? Why did your father die? Xiaoxi asked in a deep voice. Logically speaking, he should be a few years younger than Zhao now. He died of illness and exhaustion so he could help me at school. When Zhao King said this, she was suddenly surprised. By the way, I also have an aunt. Andy. How is that possible? Zhao Min is my brother, she only gave birth to a son, and then died. Zhao Xi shook his head slightly. Fen Lin looked at Zhao King and explained. King, I already investigated your father's matter. Your father was adopted. After hearing this, Zhao King understood. No wonder her aunt treated her father badly. It turned out that she never considered her father as one of her own from the beginning. Daughter, tell me quickly. How have you lived these years? Zhao Xi wiped away her tears and looked at Zhao King tenderly. Zhao King first supported Zhao Xi and asked him to return to the wheelchair. Then he told about his own experience during when his father was seriously ill. He also told Zhao Xi about Feng Lin's treatment of his father. After hearing this, Zhao Xi caressed Zhao King's forehead helplessly. Hey, my daughter, you have suffered. The descendants of my dignified Zhao family live in such a miserable state. Fen Lin and Zhu Ruoying also looked at each other in shock. They didn't know Zhao King well. Especially what happened before. I didn't expect this kind girl to suffer so much. King, from now on you will call me grandma and be my granddaughter. When Zhao Xi spoke, he looked at Fen Lin. Fen Lin, thank you very much this time. I haven't given you any surprises yet. It's over. Fen Lin grabbed Zhu Ruoying's arm again. Let me introduce you again. His name is Zhu Ruoying and his grandfather's name is Zhu Gushou. What? Zhu Gushou? Zhao Xi's eyes widened in shock. How is that possible? If it's true, she is Zhu Gushou's granddaughter. I'm here to investigate Zhu Gushou. Later, we found out that Zhu Gushou's wife is called Zhao Yuanfen, so I went to Meng City, investigated again and finally found you. Fen Lin is about to happen. Tell Zhao Xi everything. Zhao Yuanfen, haha, that's it. I didn't expect it. Zhao Xi sighed deeply and smiled bitterly. Grandpa, I want to know about Zhu Gushou, Fen Lin said solemnly. This matter is very important. Well, now that everything is settled, I'll tell you everything I know. Zhao Xi narrowed her eyes slightly and looked at the mountains in the distance. It turned out that Zhao Yuanfen was his aunt, his father's sister. At the beginning, the Zhao family was still a big family in Meng City. Zhao Yuanfen met Zhu Gushou during a trip. The two fell in love at first sight and ended up together. At that time, Zhao Yuanfen's father, Zhao Xi's grandfather, strongly opposed it. Zhao Xi was still young at that time and didn't know the reason. Later, Zhao Yuanfen and Zhu Gushou eloped. Until 50 years ago, a group of mysterious people came to his house and asked about Zhu Gushou's whereabouts. How could the Zhao family know? Those people thought that the Zhao family was being harsh, so they killed them one by one. At this moment, I realized that the reason why Grandpa was so opposed in the first place was related to Zhu Gushou, and it would not end well. When Zhao Xi said this, he looked at Zhu Ruoying. Zhu Ruoying lowered her head involuntarily, and it turned out that it was her grandfather who led to the destruction of the Zhao family. Why are you okay? Fen Lin looked at Zhao Xi. I had already married into the Zhao family and didn't know it. Zhao Xi looked at Zhao Cheng next to him. You tell me. Yes, miss. Zhao Cheng walked over and whispered, I am as a survivor of the time. I ran away with my 3-year-old son, Zhao Yiwei, in my arms. I thought that their target was the Zhao family lineage, so I placed my son in a mountain village and attracted those people by myself. After hearing this, Zhao King covered her head in Zhuozui. It turns out that this old man is her father's savior. What happened next? Fen Lin asked. I'm sorry, Miss Zhao Cheng suddenly knelt before Zhao Xi. How many years has it been? Get up. Zhao Xi smiled bitterly and said, say it. Yeah. Zhao Cheng stood up from the ground again and said in a deep voice. I ran away desperately, but I found that those people were not chasing me. I thought I had escaped, so I came to Yan City to look for the lady, but I didn't expect that those people were you fishing with a line. Fen Lin shook his head slightly. He did this often. Deliberately leaving a person alive and not killing him, he followed him all the time. One day he will contact his people. Reappear when the time comes and annihilate them in one fell swoop. Those people didn't kill me because they believed that the Zhao family really didn't know Zhu Gushou's whereabouts. Zhao Xi raised his cheeks, paused and said, I was told to use the Zhao family name. To find Zhu Gushou. Have you done it? Fen Lin asked. I did. I only hate Zhu Gushou. It was him who caused the death of my entire family. Zhao Xi shook his head helplessly. Back then, we still relied on cards. Finding someone was like looking for a needle in a haystack and I never found it. Zhu Ruoying kept her head down the entire time. I didn't expect this to be the case. Now it seems that King may also hold a grudge against herself. After all, it was his grandfather who caused his family to disappear. Later, I received news that Zhuge appeared in a rural village called Fengjie, a village under Luo City in the Central Plains. Zhao looked at Feng Lin, so I personally took people to look for him. Zhuge didn't find him, but he found your father. Feng Lin and Zhu Ruoying looked at each other. If Zhuge appeared in Feng Lin village, it would be when he took Zhu Ruoying to see a doctor. I know your father is an expert, so he asked my granddaughter to make a marriage contract with you. Zhao Xi suddenly waved his hand. Anyway, it's already been said, so I'll say it clearly. I asked my granddaughter to marry you because I want Dad to protect our Zhao family. When was the time she took Zhao Cheng with her? At first, Feng Ke smiled playfully and didn't answer her questions directly. She planned to let Zhao Cheng teach the other party a lesson. A look from the other party made Zhao Cheng collapse. Feng Ke was only in his 20s or 30s at that time. According to Zhao Chen, that kind of terrifying momentum is at least the level of a master in his 20s and 30s. Great would be his achievements in the future. So he maintained a hesitant attitude and said that he had a granddaughter and could get a baby to marry her. After the other party saw the photo, Zhao Xi didn't even agree on the spot. He still reacted. That's why, some time ago, Feng Lin came to see Zhao Xi for the first time. The reason why Zhao Xi is so worried. Behind Feng Lin, there's a father teacher who became a teacher 20 years ago. At this moment, a woman dressed in a police uniform came from afar. The uniforms were up. This person is Zhamu. As soon as he came over, he unbuttoned the top button of his blouse. Ruoying, what's wrong? I just finished my mission. Zhu Ruoying looked at Zhamu and suddenly grabbed Feng Lin's arm. Feng Lin. You must marry Zhamu, otherwise I won't be with you. Chapter 391 Troublesome Character. Feng Lin looked at the black man and asked, "Are you still you?" Zhu Ruoying, who was normally opposed to women, took the initiative to find himself a wife today. Zhamu, who had just approached, also rolled his eyes. Did Zhu Ruoying have a fever today? Zhao Xi did not express his position. Perhaps Zhu Ruoying felt that he owed them something. However, this worked in Zhao Xi's favor, with Feng Chen backing him up. If those people come to cause trouble in the future, Zhamu will definitely protect him, not to mention protect himself. King, where do you live now? How about you move here to live with Grandma? Zhao Xi calmed Zhao King's head and said softly. Grandma, I have been living with Sister Zhu. My sister treats me like my own sister. Zhao King looked at Zhu Ruoying and whispered, I'll come to see you from time to time. Alright. Zhao Xi is a person with high emotional intelligence. People naturally heard that Zhao King did not want to come. This is normal, but suddenly the environment changes and you're surrounded by people you don't know. I'm definitely not used to it. Once Zhao King comes here frequently and gets familiar with everyone else, it won't be too late to move here. Feng Lin stretched helplessly, but in the end, the trap was still broken. What are you looking for Zhuge for? Zhao Xi asked strangely. Grandma, the things involved are too complicated, I can't tell you. Feng Lin had no intention of telling her. Okay, come see me anytime if you need my help. Zhao Xi noticed that Zhao King was giving Feng Lin a dirty look. I really don't know what's so good about Feng Lin that makes so many women surround him. I'll ask you for help. Maybe soon. I need you to send a message to those people and tell them that Zhuge hasn't been found, but his granddaughter has. Feng Lin put his hands in his pants pockets and looked. To Zhu Ruoying and Zhao King, go home. Finally, Zhamu followed Feng Lin and others back together. Returned to Zhu Ruoying's villa. Several people sat on the sofa and Zhu Ruoying told Zhamu the whole story. He didn't mean to lie to Zhamu, this was not his character. Zhamu was also very generous. After all, this matter had nothing to do with Zhu Ruoying. After chatting here for a while, Zhamu went back to work. Zhu Ruoying and Zhao King went to the opposite door. After experiencing this incident, Zhao King also understood the importance of strength. Feng Lin lay on the sofa, hugging the little fox, closing his eyes and resting. Now that he has broken through the middle stage, it is time to deal with other sects in Jialand. Only by fighting with the type of sect can you improve faster. After that, it will target stronger real humans. Whether it was Zhu Ruoying's parents, Sikong Jin, or Liu Nian who joined them, Feng Lin wanted to destroy them all. This organization is simply the common enemy of humanity. Not long after going to bed, Feng Lin heard the doorbell ring. He put the little fox on the sofa, got up, opened the door, and found a middle-aged man in a suit and tie standing in front of the door. This person is Zhamu's father, Zhao Kui. Haha. Nephew Feng Lin. Zhao Zhu greeted Feng Lin. Uncle, why are you here? Feng Lin opened the door and walked out and asked. My mother just called me. She told me about King, Zhao said with a smile. Where is King? I want to meet her. I will definitely treat her as my daughter from now on. Come. Fen Lin took Jacques to the opposite door. I heard Jacques say before that Jacques is very honest and listens to his mother a lot. Fen Lin can rest assured that if King really goes to live with the family Zhao in the future, they will not treat her badly. That is King. Fen Lin pointed to Zhao King and said. But Jacques did not respond to Fen Lin. This could not help but attract the attention of Fen Lin, who looked over back and found that Jacques' eyes were not on Zhao King, and on Yi Dan, who was playing chess with the second master over there. Oops, Fen Lin's heart trembled and he actually forgot about it. This incident. I once heard Jacques say that Zhao Zui had been secretly in love with Yi Dan since he was a child. But because she was too honest and too shy, she didn't dare to confess when she realized that someone was watching. Yi Dan also turned to look at Fen Lin. Then he looked at Jacques next to him. You are, Dan. Jacques seemed to have lost his soul. His voice was low, and he approached Yi Dan step by step. Past. Zhao blame. Yi Dan looked at this man and raised his eyebrows in surprise. You really are Dandan? You, why aren't you dead? How come you're as young as you are then? Zhao Zhu asked in disbelief. Today's plastic surgery technology is very advanced. But even with plastic surgery, the traces of time can still be seen on the face. But Yi Dan is different. You can still see the blush and tenderness of a young woman on her face. This is not something that can be caused by plastic surgery at all. Yeah, I'm actually a dead person. Yi Dan said with a smile. Don't be kidding, I'm asking you seriously. Jacques' voice was a little louder. Yi Dan frowned slightly. You don't care, why should I tell you? Zhao Zui was speechless. Yeah. What do other people's affairs have to do with you? I am also married and have 2 daughters. I remember that Yi Dan also gave birth to a child. But he still couldn't believe why Yi Dan didn't age. Uncle, if you're okay, look around. Don't just look at her. Fen Lin put his arm around Jacques' shoulders. Zhao Zui turned around and saw Jian Guojiqiu performing sword skills. And he could clearly see the flickering light in her eyes. Jacques was stunned. This was the divine orifice realm. The legendary divine realm. Unexpectedly, this young woman has already entered the ranks of legends. Do you know? There are experts here, and the experts have ways to keep her young forever. Fen Lin paused and said, however, please keep this matter a secret. I know that if this matter spreads, the consequences will be very serious. Seriously. Zhao Zui looked deeply at Yi Dan and nodded slightly. Fen Lin pulled him again and headed towards Zhao King who was there. He introduced Zhao King. This is Jacques, Zhao father just now. Hi uncle. Zhao King smiled sweetly. Okay, I will definitely treat you as my own daughter from now on. When Jacques spoke, her eyes shifted to Yi Dan in the distance from time to time. Autumn. Fen Lin coughed lightly. Oh. Haha. King, uncle will come to see you often. After Jacques finished speaking, he turned around and left, as if fleeing. Fen Lin shook his head gently and patted Zhao King's shoulder. Continue exercising. He yawned and got ready to lie down for a while. After that, he trained the white emperor holy sword. As soon as I walked out the door of the villa, I saw a woman in a blue gothic dress, with long hair and bangs, and a rabbit-shaped patch over her left eye, walking towards her. Gingerbread Thalia. When Fen Lin saw this woman, he couldn't help but cover his face. Of the grandmother. A problematic person has arrived. He felt that he had no time to rest. John Banksy looked at his phone from time to time, as if searching for a location. Suddenly, he raised his head and saw Fen Lin. Chapter 392 No. One on the heavenly list. John Banksy put away her phone, walked over and said, Fen Lin. Why are you here? Fen Lin walked over and asked. Why can't I go? I'm here to thank you this time, and by the way, I want to tell you something. John Banksy was not used to saying the word thank you. It's okay. It's fate that we met. Fen Lin smiled and winked. You should have told your father that I broke off the engagement with you, right? Am I that annoying to you? John Banksy was a little sad. He asked happily. At this moment, Zhuowen left the villa. This was her instinctive intuition. Sure enough, he saw Fen Lin chatting with a woman. He immediately walked over, took Fen Lin's arm and asked, Husband, who was this? It's over. Fen Lin sighed in his heart. Trouble is coming. Is she your wife? John Banksy stared at Zhuowen, her eyes involuntarily falling on the deformed Chinese character in front of Zhuowen. Yes, this is my wife, Fen Lin nodded. It's really big. John Banksy's face seemed a little sad. This was different from what he thought. He felt like he had come to thank him in person. Fen Lin would definitely shed tears of gratitude and then greet her. Finally, he began to chase her madly. I didn't expect to find something like this. Are you Fen Lin's fiancé? Zhu Ruan looked at John Banxia and asked. Not bad, John Banxia nodded. Do you think you can leave? Besides me, the main wife, Fen Lin also has 6 concubines. Fen Lin hugged Fen Lin's arm. We have already agreed, 7 days a week, 1 day for each person, no more acting someone. John Banxia was silent for a long time. Perhaps he really misjudged Fen Lin. Unexpectedly, he is also a playboy. However, compared to people who knew those big families, Fen Lin was considered decent. These people just play but don't get married and have ruined many women. Originally, he thought that since Fen Lin only had 1 wife, it was not impossible for her to come and be a sister. Honey, it's time for you to accompany me today. Don't waste your time here. Zhu Ruan took Fen Lin's arm and led him away. When John Banxia saw this, he raised his eyebrows. What do you mean? What a waste of time. Each of us is a day. My husband is with me today, talking to you here all the time, right? Is it a waste of time? Zhu Ruan wants to be mean now, which scared the woman and she finally left. Do you look like a crazy woman? I tell you. If I hadn't let you go, would you have been the first wife? John Banxia's temper also rose. Fen Chen officially certified him as his first wife. Did you leave me? Are you a middle-class girl? Zhu Ruan straightened her body. The word Huaxia trembled a few times. I don't even care how much you weigh. It's okay. Fen Lin stood in the middle. To soften the things, just hope that John Banxia leaves as soon as possible. John Banxia, if nothing happens, you'd better leave. As you can see, I have something to do here, Fen Lin said with a smile. Rules are made by people. When I marry you, I will change the rules. John Banxia looked at Zhu Ruan coldly. This kind of concubine, it is already a favor to accompany her once every 6 months. Hey, I decided that it won't work anymore. Fen Lin suddenly covered her old waist. John Banxia, to tell the truth, I'm going to the hospital today to get my kidneys checked. Speaking of this, Fen Lin didn't forget to wink at Zhu Ruan. Oh. That is. Do you know why I said it was a waste of time? Because my husband can talk to you 3 times. Zhu Ruan covered her face and slapped Fen Lin aggrievedly. It's all your fault for getting married like this. A lot of people. Woman, aren't you feeling well? So, I have to change the rules again. How can the concubines of those big families stay with me once a week? John Banxia raised her head and looked at Fen Lin. Follow me back to John's house and let my grandfather do it. Look at your kidneys. No, the doctor here is very good. Fen Lin covered his waist and declined with a smile. Go quickly. My husband is already like that. You are so beautiful, why are you bothering my husband? Zhu Ruan was a little impatient about what was happening with women recently. Whoever I bother is my freedom. What right do you, an ant like you, had to accuse me? John Banxia coldly looked at Zhu Ruan and raised her hand gently. A terrifying pressure pushed Zhu Ruan away. Zhu Ruan was shocked. This woman looked younger than her. No, Fen Lin, I have to tell you something this time. John Banxia took Fen Lin's hand and disappeared. As soon as Zhu Ruan raised her hand, she found that the two had disappeared. The villa. John Banxia said in a deep voice. You must be careful in the future. People from the Zhang family may retaliate against you. Is it Johnny's family? Fen Lin's expression also darkened. I made it public that Johnny was murdered by Grandpa Shita after he snatched my treasure, but Long Ti now is making trouble in the middle. He said that Johnny was probably killed by you, because Yuan Yanhui by the relationship is very good, John Banxia said calmly. Fen Lin nodded slightly. It seemed like he was busy with things recently. How strong is this Zhang family? It's very strong, but not as strong as our family, but they are related to a certain family. When Zhang Banxia said this, he said in a low voice, Yanjin, Emperor Yi, Dokudon what? Is it him? Fen Lin narrowed his eyes. Yuanban created by Huaxia Zhang. Emperor Yi, ranked first. The key is that this person is only 50 years old. He is about the same age as Fenken. Fen Lin learned from him by the old man. You know, in addition to his strong combat power, Dukalixia also has an extremely profound city. Each one seems to be his puppet. Using tactics alone, he can manipulate countless masters at his fingertips. Fat man, Fen Lin sighed. In this way, there are only 2 best ways to deal with the Zhang family. First, God doesn't notice it. Second, if he uses his identity as a mortuary doctor to solve the problem with the country's backing, he should be more restrained. Okay, do you need to go back to me and ask my grandfather to look at your waist? It will be really soon, John Banksia asked calmly. No need. Fen Lin shook his head. Then I will go back first. When Grandpa comes out of confinement, I can come back to you. John Banksia took out his mobile phone and said, can you leave your contact information now? Okay. Fen Lin nodded with a smile. After watching Grandpa leave John Banksia, Fen Lin picked up the phone and called his father first. Let's see how much he knows about Zugusau. Hey, what's wrong? I'm busy, Fen Chen's voice came from there. Have you known Zhu Ruan's identity for a long time? Fen Lin asked in a deep voice. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novellas, we cordially invite you to visit our channel. There you will find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 393 The Zhang family declares Lin Feng. Of course I know Taoyuan's identity. What's wrong? Fen Chen asked with a smile. Stop pretending, I mean, she is a descendant of Tu Fu. Fen Lin picked up the phone and returned. Do you know everything about this? Fen Chen smiled in surprise. Sorry, I'm not sure. I only know that she is Zugusau's granddaughter, Fen Lin asked in a deep voice. Is Zugusau dead? Dead, Fen Chen nodded. How did he die? Logically speaking, he is purebred and should have a very long life, Fen Lin asked. Do you know that your son is above everything? With your current strength, you shouldn't know this. Fen Chen paused and continued, I can give you general information. Zugusau has some shortcomings. Are they lacking? Could it be? Fen Lin thought about the inheritance from close relatives. Wasn't Zugusau a perfect human being? It's what you think, so he died early, Fen Chen explained. I didn't know about this originally, but Zhu Ruan's parents were kidnapped, Fen Lin said expressionlessly, so I asked Mr. Lan to check it. Well, those who kidnapped them are probably real humans. That organization has long been interested in the Zhu family's lineage, Fen Chen explained. What should we do? Xin increases his strength. Real humans are monsters. You are no match now, Fen Chen said with a smile. Last question, what do you think of W. Poji? Fen Lin asked. This guy is very powerful. He's an excellent chess player, Fen Chen said with a smile, don't provoke him for the moment. Okay, go ahead and do your thing. Fen Lin knew this gruffly and hangs up the phone. This person was considerate. A potential threat and Fen Lin felt that he was starting to get busy. He put away his cell phone, went alone to the mountains and began to train the White Emperor Holy Sword entering the intermediate stage of penetration. His ki is stronger. Since before, Fen Lin was already wielding two swords at the same time. The attack range has also been expanded to a distance of 10 meters because this is the limit of the energy that can come out of his body to be able to expend ki to 10 meters already. It is an incredible existence. He put his hands in his trouser pockets and watched two dark red swords flying around him. This feeling is becoming more and more science fiction. If anyone sees it, they will 100% believe it. Be a computer-generated special effect. As Men Shang said, the master is the limit of human beings. Above the Grand Master, humans can no longer describe him. Fen Lin is trying to make a third sword, but currently his ki can only support two. Buzz. At this moment, Fen Lin's right eye flashed with a dark blue light. Two blue swords appeared out of nowhere. Now there are 4 in total. 2 dark red long swords, 2 dark blue long swords. The two incompatible things between the two of you finally have some effect. Fen Lin put his hands in his trouser pockets and the 4 long swords turned into light and shone within a range of 10 meters. Face each other. After practicing here until the evening, Fen Lin went home. Back home, Fen Lin had dinner with Zhu Ruan and others. Indeed, it is more relaxing here. After eating, Fen Lin lay down on the sofa. Today, surprisingly, Zhu Ruan, Zhao Qingqing, and Mu Zhao were washing dishes together in the kitchen. Fen Lin knew from their conversation that Zhu Ruan felt guilty for her grandfather. But Zhao Qingqing didn't care at all. At this moment, Fen Lin looked outside the villa. He immediately got up from the couch and walked out. By chance I saw a man jumping into the yard. This person was wearing black casual clothes, and after discovering Fen Lin, he became less nervous. He took out a dagger from his body and threw it at Fen Lin with all his strength. He then turned around and prepared to flee. But as soon as he turned around, he fell to the ground with a thump. I didn't let you go. Fen Lin held the dagger blade between his 2 fingers and saw a note behind it. I opened it and took a look. There was a small printed copy on it. The Zhang family announced that Fen Lin would come to see you and go to Hexiliang City within 3 days. Otherwise, you will be responsible for the consequences. Seeing this, Fen Lin raised the corners of his mouth. Great pawn playing with yourself with the imperial edict. He held the dagger and walked towards the man. Brother, have mercy. I'm just running errands. This man did not expect Fen Lin to be so strong. From the looks of it, he was at least in a transformation realm. Of course I know you're running errands. This person's realm is only Anjin realm. Are you from the Zhang family? Yes. The man said in a deep voice, I hope you will give the Zhang family safe face, otherwise you will die miserably, but before I die, you will die first. Fen Lin said. He bent down and put the dagger to the man's neck. Don't kill me. I know I was wrong. Please spare my life. The man was trembling with fear. What the hell does the Zhang family want to do? Fen Lin asked with a smile. Zhang family, let me tell you. I'll tell you everything. The young master of the Long family, Long Dinao, told our master that you killed Mr. Zhangdi, the man explained. How did you know? Obviously I didn't kill him, Fen Lin asked. I don't know about this. Anyway, Long Dinao said it himself. You killed Zhangdi and Zhang Bangxia. Did someone kill Mr. Wang? The man immediately said, our family master doesn't dare to touch. Zhang, what will happen if I don't go? Fen Lin asked. If you don't go, the Zhang family will let their masters to kill all your relatives and friends, the man said. After all, the Zhang family is a big family. The country watches over it, and they don't. I don't dare to go too far. As long as you die, I won't touch your family. Haha, I understand. Go back and tell them I'll come. Fen Lin took the pressure off the man. He is not afraid of the king of hell, much less a simple lonely family. If they take out Tianzi behind them, Wupoji will be defeated. So Fen Lin could only leave the country behind him. Thank you. I'll pass it on to you. The man was relieved and ran away, disappearing into the night in the blink of an eye. Haha, this Long Dinao is a bit interesting. Fen Lin used Ash's holy goo to melt the dagger and returned to the villa. Just before destroying the 9 others, I took a bite of the appetizer. At the same time. Jianjia, Hexi. Temple on the top of the mountain. A group of people stand in front of the corpse. The leader, an old man with long white hair, asked with sinister eyes, "Are you sure he said that? Are you sure you just called me?" A middle-aged man with a rather biased appearance said sternly. It's okay. It's okay. The old man nodded, looked at Johnny's body, narrowed his eyes and said, "Grandson, when I kill him, I will turn his bones into tables and chairs for you to bury with him." He is a member of the Zhang family, a genius who was a few years younger than Long Dinao, but has already entered the middle stage of divine acuity. It can be said that this type of talent is a once-in-a-century experience. But they were killed. How could they swallow this breath? Dad, I don't think an unknown person could kill my son. It must have been Zhang Bangxia. The middle-aged man said with his head tilted to the side with red eyes. Do you need to inform me? Employee. Chapter 394. Rich experience in ending an engagement. The middle-aged man is Zhangdi's father, Zhang Fan. From the beginning he did not believe that a young man could kill his son. What do you know? Zhang Tu scolded, even if the Zhang family is emperor, they dare not provoke them. Is Zhang Ziking so strong? Zhang Fan asked in a deep voice. Zhang Ziking is none other than Zhang Bangxia's grandfather. Yes, in addition to being strong, he also has another identity, that is, he is a member of the Infernal National Affairs. Zhang Tu looked at Zhang Fan. They are all China's top masters. It doesn't matter how strong Deng Lishao is. That is to say, he wouldn't dare provoke them. Hey! Zhang Fan said helplessly. Judging from his father's intentions, he planned to find Fen Lin as a scapegoat. Fen Lin slept well at home. The day next, I saw Jin Gujiak is always in front of the Zhang family. He decided to go alone. Once upon a time, when facing a lonely family of this level, he had to avoid their sharp edges. It is also different now. A penetration and is in the middle stage. Boss, good morning. Jin Gujiak smiled at Fen Lin. Door. Fen Lin also got up early and did some activities in the yard. After having breakfast with Zhu Roy and others, Fen Lin said that he had to leave because of a mission. None of them said anything. Going on a mission, they simply felt that they were not strong enough. Fen Lin asked Zhu Roy to take him to the high-speed train station. He had already booked his ticket online in advance. After waiting here for half an hour, I got on the high-speed train. According to the time on the ticket, it is only 1 hour. Fen Lin closed his eyes and prepared to take a nap. Suddenly, a man walked past Fen Lin. He was sitting next to Fen Lin. Fen Lin casually looked at this man, who was around the same age as him. He has short hair and wears casual beige clothing. It looks pretty good and looks pretty sunny. Brother, are you also going to Yangship? The man asked with a smile. Feng Lin nodded. Brother, how about we make a deal? The man in front of him introduced himself. My name is Wang Shui. Not very well. Feng Lin had no time to waste on this man. Brother, I will give you money. I will give you 5,000 yuan. Wang Shui took out his mobile phone. I'm very busy at work, but my parents asked me to go back to Liangshi blindly. A blind date. What can I do for you? Feng Lin was bored anyway, so he chatted with this friend for a few words. Actually, I have someone I like and I don't want to go. You can go for me. She hasn't seen me anyway, Wang Shui said with a smile. You can find any reason to refuse. How can this be done? I'm long. You happen to be so handsome. What if she falls in love with me? Feng Lin now has a phobia of women. If he can't help but participate in this kind of thing, he won't participate. Brother, I heard from my parents that that woman is pretty. Isn't it fair that he likes you? Wang Shui opened his WeChat wallet. Here, I'll give you the money first. Isn't it? Are you afraid that I'll take the money? Do business. Feng asked Lin with a smile. Don't be afraid, you don't look like a bad guy. 5,000 yuan. Wang Shui put his hands together and pleaded. Come and scan, the train is about to leave. Feng Lin hesitated and nodded. Anyway, he's the first. A trip to Yangship, 5,000 yuan is enough to treat the woman to dinner, so he took out his mobile phone and collected the other party's money. Wang Shui and Feng Lin added WeChat friends and sent Feng Lin the meeting location. Brother. I'm leaving. After Wang Shui finished speaking, he immediately left the high-speed train. Feng Lin looked at the restaurant's address on his phone and checked it with nothing to do. It is considered a high-end restaurant. It seems that both parties are fine. Looking at Wang Shui just now, he only spent 5,000 yuan, and he is indeed a man who was not short of money. An hour passed in a blink of an eye. Feng Lin arrived at Liangship. Usually when he arrives in a strange city, Feng Lin walks through the streets first. Familiarize yourself with your surroundings. After observation, the economy here is not as good as Yun City. Relatively speaking, the entire Hayden province is slightly behind. Not long after Feng Lin posted, the former Wang Shui sent Feng Lin a message. Brother, what's your name? And your phone number? Feng Lin definitely wasn't stupid enough to use his real name. He replied, my name is Lin Yi. However, his phone number was genuine. Okay, Brother Lin, I'll send it to you now. After she rejects it, send me a message and I'll block her on WeChat, Wang Shui replied again. Feng Lin shook his head slightly. He understood this person's difficulties very well. He was also wondering if he should have someone take his place when he met his fiancée in the future. Not long after, Feng Lin's cell phone rang. Hello, you Lin Yi? That's right, Feng Lin agreed. That's strange. You said your name was Wang Shui before, the woman in front murmured. That's a nickname, Feng Lin explained. Okay, you should be here, right? Come here quickly, said the woman in front. Okay, I'll be there soon. Feng Lin hung up the phone and found that Wang Shui had sent him another message. Tell him this woman's name is Renshusha. Feng Lin did not take a taxi. He passed through several small roads and reached his destination in 5 or 6 minutes. Outside this restaurant, there was a woman wearing a flower skirt. Her hair has permanent waves, and although her figure is flat, her face is still very beautiful. A standard oval face with large, very bright eyes. He is not too short and wears casual sneakers. Suddenly, this man looked at Feng Lin, walked over and asked, Lin Yi. Well, Renshusha. Feng Lin agreed, this woman is really pretty. It's me, come in. Renshusha turned around and led the way. Feng Lin followed this woman and had great experience in breaking engagements. This time I'm going to challenge myself and break the commitment into 3 sentences. Renshusha took Feng Lin to a private room. As soon as Feng Lin entered, he immediately felt confused. What the hell? He even wondered if he was in the wrong place. This is not a blind date. Is this a wedding bar? There were 3 tables in the private room and they were full of people. From the elderly to the children, everything is available. There are almost 20 of them. These people, Feng Lin suspected that Wang Shui was playing tricks on him. Is it really a blind date? Oh, let me introduce you. This is my aunt, this is my uncle, this is my second aunt, second uncle, and, Renshusha introduced them one by one and then said, by the way there are 3 tables in the other private rooms. What the hell, isn't this the first time we've met? Isn't it appropriate for you to call so many relatives? Feng Lin looked a little strange. Little brother, what are you talking about? Shisha is the oldest baby in my family. The grown-ups coming to see what's wrong. That's it. Waiter, please bring the food you just ordered. Let's go to Huajia first. We don't have it here. Everyone smokes, let's give each person a pack first. Several relatives around said one after another. They all started chatting among themselves and ignored Feng Lin at all. What's wrong? Shisha pretended to be confused. He looked at Feng Lin. Why don't you sit down? Feng Lin was confused by the other party. Chapter 395. Dog eyes look down on people. Although now we aren't paying attention to equality between men and women. But usually the man pays for the meal on the first blind date. After all, this is a matter of appearance. However, this woman completely treats the man like a fool. Even before writing our horoscope, she was thinking about cheating on a man. At this time, the waiter brought the food. Feng Lin's eyes almost popped out of his head. There were giant lobsters, matsutake mushrooms, birds' nests, motai, and they were all on every table. Sit down. In front of a large round table, Shisha pointed to the empty seat. The two were facing each other, with many people between them. Beside Feng Lin were two ants. He took a deep breath and decided to teach these people a lesson. Lin Yi, I heard that you are developing in Young City. Shisha raised his head and asked flatly. Well, that's right. In comparison, Young City's economy is better. Feng Lin nodded with a smile. While they were talking, the people around them were already celebrating. Seeing this, Feng Lin also began to move his chopsticks. How much is the monthly salary now? Shisha asked calmly. 4 to 5,000, replied Feng Lin, who wanted to see this woman's attitude. A salary of 4 to 5,000 is considered average in Young City. Yes, Shisha nodded and started eating. Kindness. Feng Lin stared. Was this the answer? Could it be that in this woman is a rich little woman, like Zhu Rong, and this time she bought the things from someone else? Thinking of this, Feng Lin decided to ask proactively to avoid misunderstandings. By the way, what do you do? How much is your monthly salary? Feng Lin asked with a smile. Didn't I say it before? Customer service, 3 to 4,000 a month. Shisha said calmly. 3 or 4,000 a month. Feng Lin was now sure that this person was a money trap. This is a normal family, how dare they eat so lavishly? Anyway, Feng Lin was here to break the engagement, so he was not embarrassed and asked directly. The money for the meal this time, of course the man paid for the meal. And sitting next to Feng Lin. That's right. How can a woman pay for her first meal? At another table in the dining room, a middle-aged man was smoking huazi, looked at Feng Lin and said, It's my first time treating guests. It's understandable, but it's against the rules for you to do this, right? How could you bring so many people with you? Feng Lin asked. Boy, this is testing you. We don't spend much, at most 50 or 60,000. That's right, why are you so stingy? How will you live in the future? In the worst case, this money will be deducted from your engagement gift. The people around started talking again. Pay the bright price. Feng Lin even left. This was just a blind date. What if the woman says she doesn't agree after giving the money? What? Do you think I spent too much? Then let's divide it equally. Shisha said lightly. Equal participation. Feng Lin raised the corner of his mouth. There are 50 or 60 people on your side and there's only one person on your side. What? Do you want me to invite you? Shisha asked expressionlessly. No, I'll treat you all to a nice meal and drink. Feng Lin smiled and started eating. We have to go to John's house to fight in a while and we will eat later. After eating for a while, Feng Lin suddenly stood up and said, Is everyone out of wine? I'll go get some wine. Watching Feng Lin leave, Shisha looked at the middle-aged man standing nearby. His side. The middle-aged man had the idea and immediately followed him, fearing that Feng Lin would flee. Feng Lin approached the waiter and said with a smile, A bottle of Louis XIII and a bottle of motai for each table. Okay, sir. The waiter smiled and nodded. Feng Lin simply turned around and saw the middle-aged man following him. He asked with a smile, Who are you? I am Shisha's brother and your future brother. The middle-aged man smiled and put his arm around Feng Lin's shoulders. Feng Lin smiled at the waiter. Your sister and I are engaged. We are happy today. Yes. We are family. The middle-aged man nodded with a smile. Then, the two returned to the private room, arm in arm. After a while, the wine was served. Feng Lin toasted the people here one by one. Finally he sat unsteadily in a seat. These people were also a little drunk. I didn't expect this person to be so great. Reshisha also took a few sips of Louis XIII and felt a little dizzy. Where is the wine? Why is there no wine again? Fen Lin shouted and walked out. When he found that no one was following him, Fen Lin immediately woke up and walked towards the waiter with a smile on his face. Sir, the waiter smiled. These people today must be from wealthy families and he must treat them with care. I have taken care of all the Huazi, Fen Lin said flatly. I have taken care of all the Louis XIII and Mount I. Sir, although we don't have much inventory here, there are 2 in total. 100,000. The waiter looked a little embarrassed. Are you afraid that I will talk nonsense when I am drunk or that I can't afford it? Fen Lin took out his mobile phone, clicked on mobile banking, and asked the waiter, look, how many are there? The waiter looked at him and was scared. Apologize immediately, he costs tens of millions. In fact, he is a child from a rich family. Don't look down on others. Even if I can't afford it, my future wife can still afford it. Fen Lin said in a lecturing tone. Yes, I'm sorry, sir. The waiter lowered his head repeatedly. Should they put these things in batches with the guests? No, take them all out for me. I'm going to go back and share them with other family members. Fen Lin seemed calm. Said. Okay, I'll move it. The waiter himself was very excited. Louis XIII received the commission. Unexpectedly, today's guest booked it directly. Fen Lin also helped the waiter move so many things to one side of the restaurant. You can go back. Fen Lin greeted the waiter. Yeah. The waiter didn't care at all. They are rich people, not to mention that there are so many guests who are still dining. Fen Lin noticed that there were no cameras around, so he put everything directly into the space ring. Then he left as if nothing had happened. These young ladies took the time to let their father take it away, and as for Motai and the foreign wine, they were led to the second master. He took out his cell phone and sent a message to Wang Shui telling him that he had broken off the engagement. Wang Shui transferred another 800 red envelopes to Fen Lin and blocked Renchish's WeChat account. Not long after Fen Lin left, several middle-aged people in the private room were still drunk. Where's the wine? Here's the wine. Wow. Suddenly, a fat man touched the wine bottle next to him. The bottle fell to the ground and broke into pieces. The sound woke up many people. Especially Renchisha. He rubbed his temples and suddenly found that Fen Lin was missing. She stood up immediately. Where is Ling Yi? Haha, I went to order a drink just now. Isn't it lying in the bathroom? The man who had previously been Fen Lin's brother smiled and staggered away. Renchisha followed this person. After the two left the private room, the man asked the waiter, where is my brother? Sir, that gentleman leaves first, the waiter said with a smile, still cheerful. He had roughly estimated that the commission for the foreign wine alone was more than 8,000 yuan. Including his original salary, he can earn more than 10,000 yuan this month. It's so funny that I secretly paid the bill and left, the man rubbed his eyes and muttered. Chapter 396 Fen Lin ran away. The waiter was too far away and did not hear their murmurs. Now, he remained silent before the joy of more than 10,000 people. Liang's original salary is low, he only earns more than 40,000 yuan a year. But his monthly salary is more than 10,000 yuan, how can he be unhappy? Renchisha didn't bother to say anything else and the other party just left. Obviously this marriage wouldn't happen. Go back and tell everyone that they can leave, Renchisha said to the man next to him. All right. The man staggered towards the private room. After a while, 40 or 50 people hurriedly left the private room. Many people also brought plastic bags to store unconsumed valuables and take them back. The waiter saw everyone leaving so openly and immediately stopped them. Haha, everyone, have you enjoyed your meal too much? You haven't paid the bill yet, the waiter said with a smile. Pay the bill. Renchisha's expression changed. Didn't that man pay the bill just now? No. When the waiter heard this, he felt something was wrong and immediately looked at the security guard in the distance. The security guard also took out his phone and notified all the security guards to come down. This time it was a large order of hundreds of thousands. Damn. This bastard. He actually escaped from the account secretly. No wonder you'd have eaten so much now. That's disgusting. Is this a man? Let a woman treat you. Renchisha's face was also extremely pale. She didn't expect this man to be so shameless. Pretending to be so great, but secretly avoiding the bill. He immediately took out WeChat and sent a message to the other party. But it shows that the other party cannot receive your message. Blacklisted. He called Fen Lin again, but it showed that the other party was busy and could not answer the call. Also blocked. Renchisha couldn't help but curse, his teeth itching with hatred. But he has also saved a lot of money over the years. You can only give him the money first or ask for it later. How much? Renshasha took out her phone and looked at her 110,000 deposit on WeChat. This is what has saved over the years. Miss, your total consumption this time is 433,400 yuan, the waiter said with a smile. Just now our manager said that you are spending a large amount, so you will be exempt from the change, for a total of 430,000 yuan. What? 430,000. Are you cheating? You think I haven't been to school? Renshasha was so shocked that she screamed. They ate very expensively, but this was impossible. It costs a lot. Other people around him also glanced sideways. Did you make a mistake in your calculation? That's right. Why did we eat so much? The waiter took out the bill and handed it to Renshasha. It's written clearly here. This is what kind of wine? 25,000 per bottle. Renshasha looked at the bill and was confused. Miss, this is Louis XIII. There are 6 tables for you, 1 bottle per table, a total of 150,000, plus your meal money, more than 50,000, a total of more than 200,000. While the waiter was talking, the security guards have all come down and are blocking the door of the restaurant. What? Just a small broken wine bottle, but 25,000. A middle-aged man was so surprised that his eyes popped out. Isn't it just more than 200,000 yuan? Renshasha felt her mind go blank. It turned out that what he drank before was actually Louis XIII. Miss, look at the bottom of the bill. The gentleman just packed almost 10,000 huarzi, more than 10,000 motai, and almost 200,000 Louis XIII. The waiter pointed to the bottom of the bill. Renshasha took a few steps back and almost collapsed to the ground. That bastard Lin Yi. That bastard. More than 400,000 yuan, where could he get so much money? Involuntarily, she looked at the people around her. Except for a few children, there are about 40 people here. You can get 110,000 for her, and if you average the rest, 8,000 for each person, which is fair. As if they had guessed what Renshasha was referring to, the expressions of everyone around them suddenly changed. Sasha, you called me to come here, but I didn't come here on my own initiative. Yes, you said you didn't like this blind date and you wanted him to bleed so bad he would give up. Sasha, and I still have something to do, so I'll go back first. I'll send you a red envelope, take it as a token of my gratitude. Ding dong. Renshasha's WeChat message rang and she clicked on it. $88. Call the police. Why are you still standing there? You can only call the police. A man patted Renshasha on the shoulder. Renshasha cried, she had her own dream. I also have requirements for my future partner. That means they are compatible. If the status man's family is too tall, she will not have confidence. They can only remain submissive for the rest of their lives and become a fertility machine. Therefore, she has been firmly opposed to marrying into a rich family since she was a child. If you are a good match, you will also have a say. This time her parents insisted on forcing her to come on a blind date and the other party was a rich man. That's why she thought of this method. Her original plan was to ask her other party to pay 50 or 60,000. To make him feel disgusted with her, forget about this blind date. He felt that since the other party was a rich man, he could still afford 50 or 60,000. He didn't give me the money, but he also took 200,000 yuan from me and ran away. Ran. He really can't afford that much money. More than 400,000 yuan, with that amount of money he would have already paid the down payment to buy a house. But he also knows that calling the police about this kind of thing is useless. Because at the beginning I was wrong. Even if the report comes to light in the future, she will become the focus of abuse. She was the initiator. It was she who first made things difficult for the other party, and then the other party ran away. He had no choice but to call his parents to confess and tell them what had happened. Fen Lin sneezed here. He touched his nose, someone must have been scolding him. But he didn't care, not to mention scolding him, there were many people who wanted to kill him. Outside the Zhang family mountain. Fen Lin stood there, looking towards the heights. He was really not afraid of the Zhang family, he was only afraid of Emperor Yi behind them. However, when the soldiers arrive, they will be covered by water and land. Fen Lin has never been afraid of anyone since he was so old. Thinking of this, he took steps towards the door of the Zhang family. The security guard outside the door saw Fen Lin and immediately informed the owner. Temple on the top of the mountain. Zhang Tu sat here cross-legged. In order to cultivate Zhangdi, almost all of his family's treasures were given to Zhangdi. In the end, it was all in vain. Who was not angry? Naturally, he knew in his heart that the person who killed his grandson was definitely not Feng Lin. How could a young man in his 20s kill his own grandson? But he had no choice. As the head of the family, he could not allow the family masters to go to die with the Zhang family. First I can only pick a tenured persimmon. Dad. Fen Lin is here. Zhang Fan quickly walked in and said. So fast. Zhang Tu sighed heavily. It seemed that it was not him who killed him. Otherwise it wouldn't have arrived so quickly. Zhang Tu stood up and said with a cold expression. Let him come up. Yeah. Zhang Tu bowed his hand and retreated. Chapter 397 Guy's Rebellion. Fen Lin put his hands in his trouser pockets and waited here. The security guard in the distance received the message and immediately opened the door. One of the middle-aged security guards walked over and said, Please come in. Fen Lin nodded, looked at the man and walked up the mountain. His speed was not fast and he observed the surrounding scenery as he climbed the mountain. Without knowing it, we were already halfway up the mountain. There are many people standing here. Many of them were still wearing morning clothes. Fen Lin looked around and saw that there were 3 realms of penetration. The strongest is the long white-haired old man who stands in the main position. Looking at his appearance, he should have reached the top. The corners of Fen Lin's mouth raised slightly. His fighting ability is fine, but it's not what it used to be. It is now in the intermediate stage of penetration. 1 against 3, compatible. Brat. Take your life. As soon as Fen Lin appeared, a bald old man burst out with energy. Attacking Fen Lin. Fen Lin smiled and passed through the middle stage. At the same level, the key opponent is still the old man. Fen Lin can kill instantly. Stop. Zhang Tu shouted loudly. Master. The bald old man suddenly turned his head and looked at Zhang Tu. We need to figure things out. Zhang Tu looked at Fen Lin coldly. Is your name Fen Lin? That is. Did you kill my grandson Johnny? No. Fen Lin shook his head. Everyone has seen it. But you said no. Zhang Tu pointed to Fen Lin and asked, Do you and Yan Yuebai have a good relationship? Yes, Fen Lin nodded. My grandson likes Yan Yuebai. He has a bad temper. When he saw you approaching Yan Yuebai, he wanted to kill you, but you killed him, right? Zhang Tu expressed his suspicion. No. If that's the case, Yan Yuebai, Long Dinao, and Zhang Bangxi are suspected. Fen Lin said calmly. How do you say this? Zhang Tu narrowed his eyes slightly. I think the old man heard about the water shortage, right? Fen Lin asked calmly. I heard it. Zhang Tu nodded. Not only Zhang Tu, but almost all the remaining masters of the Zhang family know this. It turns out that there's a maze formation there. As soon as Zhang escaped, he immediately called them. He told them what happened inside and that he almost died inside. He also said that they took away all the water and treasures he had managed to seize. In the ruins, Long Dinao and Zhang Di fought for water. However, Long Dinao was defeated and Zhang Di took the water from him. Fen Lin put his hands in his trouser pockets and said calmly. Hearing this, everyone around me looked at me and I looked at you. They found out. It turned out that the person Zhang Di was fighting for was Long Dinao. Afterwards, Long Dinao held a grudge and killed Johnny. It's completely possible. This is just your unilateral statement. Zhang Tu looked at Fen Lin expressionlessly. I really have no witnesses. Fen Lin smiled and spread his hands. So what are you going to do to me now? First, bow to my grandson 3 times and I will tell you what will happen next. Zhang Tu said calmly. Ha, I understand. You know I won't bow down, so you are ready to find a reason to kill me. Fen Lin couldn't help but laugh. It's because you can't afford to offend the Zhang family, so you want to find a scapegoat to convince the public. Presumptuous. Boy, why are you talking to our family master? The bald old man just pointed at Fen Lin fiercely. I'm telling the truth. He needs my life to calm his souls. Fen Lin looked at the many masters around him. The genius of the family has been killed. The boss doesn't even dare to let him go. From now on, what do you think of him? So, he needs to make you think that I killed him. You are so reckless. Kill him. Zhang Tu pointed at Fen Lin and shouted. The bald old man just attacked Fen Lin without hesitation. Fen Lin saw this and shook his head slightly. Indeed, even if you have an impeccable tongue, when you have little strength. In the eyes of others, life is still an ant. Perhaps his words could shape the Zhang family's military morale. But this happened after his death. In this world, strength is still respected. Oh. The bald old man raised his hand and a golden light shone on his arm. This blow went straight to Fen Lin's heart. Fen Lin put his hands in his trouser pockets and waited quietly. When the bald old man approached Fen Lin, he suddenly discovered that Fen Lin had disappeared. He suddenly froze in place, searching for Fen Lin's voice. Faga. 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 Just as she turned to look for him, she found his neck, his heart, and his back. Blood spurts. Impossible. No, the bald old man's voice trembled and he fell to the ground with fear in his eyes. Everyone around him was shocked. How can this be? This is one of the 3 guardians of the Zhang family. The strength is enough to break through the middle stage of the realm. This is a master who can enter the country. A young man killed him instantly. It's you. It's you who killed my grandson. Zhang Tu pointed at Fen Lin and shouted. Now I want to deny it, is it too late? Anyway, the swords are facing each other. You, come together. Fen Lin looked at these people with an indifferent expression and turned the scalpel in his hand. Zhang Tu shouted loudly and was the first to rush towards Fen Lin. The remaining masters also rushed forward. Slow? It's too slow. Facing you always helps me regain confidence. Fen Lin lifted his toes and tapped the ground lightly. Loud crash. Loud crash. Boom. In an instant, the concrete path under Fen Lin's feet burst into a deep hole and his figure turned slightly transparent before becoming substantial again. It was still where it was. But all the people who gathered around him spurted blood and fell to pieces. When Zhang Tu saw this, his eyes almost bulged out. Evacuate. Son. Take your family and evacuate quickly. As he spoke, Zhang Tu had already arrived in front of Fen Lin. The energy in his body covers his entire body, like a little golden man. Zhang Tu punched Fen Lin. Fen Lin held the scalpel tightly and the dark red key dyed the black scalpel red. Head on. Zhang Tu positioned high up, taking advantage of the air and pressing down hard. Boom. The ground around Fen Lin shook and his legs did not touch the ground beneath his feet. The cracks were like spider webs and stretched for more than 10 meters. Oh. At this moment, another master who had broken through the realm, holding a short knife, attacked Fen Lin from behind. When Fen Lin saw this, his body was suddenly surrounded by dark red ki and he turned into a burning man. Death. The old man came behind Fen Lin, unleashed his strength and slashed Fen Lin's neck with a knife. Brush. The knife pierced Pyro's neck. Before he could laugh out loud, Zhang Tu glared at him and shouted, "Back there." Brush. His head just flew off. Fen Lin turned the scalpel, looked at Zhang Tu, and said calmly, "This move is called Divine Rebellion. You are looking for death." Zhang Tu roared at Fen Lin and attacked Fen Lin. Fen Lin's body was once again surrounded by dark red flames. Zhang Tu immediately stopped and watched carefully. Brush. A scalpel pierced Zhang Tu's body from behind. Zhang Tu turned around tremblingly and found that the person who stabbed him was the fake Yuan just now. The flames on the head of this fake firefighter gradually dissipated, revealing Fen Lin whose left eye was glowing with fire. "This is called Divine Rebellion in second stage," Fen Lin said expressionlessly. P.S. I have updated 4 times in a row. Brother, please give me some support. Chapter 398 Return the Money. God Rebels. It was the technique that Fen Sheng cast at him back then. Men Sheng specifically said that he would specialize in this technique. To practice this requires almost perfect coordination of the body. Fen Lin suffered a lot when he was a child. However, he also verified what Men Sheng said. This technique is a weapon for him to fight in all realms. But when facing Waihe's Hu, there was still no way to defeat him. This also illustrates one thing. One force can defeat 10. The gap is too big and all the bells and whistles are virtual. You. Zhang Tu roared angrily and hit back violently. There was a gust of wind in the air. Fen Lin clutched the scalpel and flew back, dodging the opponent's attack. You should have noticed that I deliberately avoided the heart. Fen Lin turned the dagger in his hand and said with a smile, "I'll give you another chance, let's continue." Zhang Tu covered his wound in horror. Who was this young man? Very powerful. The Zhang family actually provoked such an important fish that they might as well provoke Zhang Bangxia. Who was your excellency? I can't citation. I am willing to offer my treasure and let this matter end between us. Zhang Tu looked at Fen Lin and said in a deep voice. No, the sword has been drawn, there is no reason to withdraw it. Fen Lin's tone was indifferent. A master of this level is currently the one standing by his side. Except for the second master, no one is a rival. Fen Lin needs to eradicate this type of master. Boy. I'll fight you. Zhang Tu gritted his teeth and suddenly attacked Fen Lin. When Fen Lin moved out of the way, he did not stop, but instead ran away in a straight line. Ha! A master who reached the top of the mountain finally escaped. Fen Lin immediately followed. Losing his momentum, Zhang Tu also began to retreat, along with the wounds on his body. Finally defeated, he was killed by Fen Lin. After Fen Lin disposed of their corpse, he returned to the Zhang family and let his Ashes Holy Gu devour these corpses. At this moment, Ashes Holy Gu, who had been sleeping during the previous battle with White Hayes, who also woke up. Fen Lin released them immediately. Enjoy a good meal. There is an unspoken rule regarding ancient warriors. As long as they are not members of the country, even if they are killed, they will not be held accountable. Instead, it was handed over to the Secret Legion's database. After everything was over, Fen Lin walked down the mountain. The people here had already escaped from the back mountain. Suddenly, Fen Lin saw a girl with a single ponytail standing in the middle of the road in the distance. He is about the same age as Li and I of the same month. If I were in school, I'd be almost a high school student now. The girl's eyes were red, she held a dagger in her hand and looked at Fen Lin. Seeing Fen Lin approaching, he screamed and charged at Fen Lin without regard for his own safety. Fen Lin was no stranger to this scene and had in fact encountered many such scenes. There are boys and there are girls. They are less afraid of death than other adults in the family. Because Fen Lin killed his relatives. Most of the prisoners and their children are innocent. Fen Lin is not good at dealing with this kind of thing. If the fourth son was here, he would help kill these people without hesitation. In Lao Si's opinion, they threatened Fen Lin's life. Facing the incoming sword, Fen Lin easily caught it with two fingers. He grabbed the girl's face and pushed her to the ground. I will kill you. I will kill you. The girl shouted loudly, her body struggling continuously. You can't kill me now. If you practice for a few years and try to kill me again, I won't be merciful. Fen Lin took his dagger and said expressionlessly, What is your name? My name is Zhang Yan. Yes. You can kill me. Zhang Yan cried and roared. Killing your family is just self-defense. I'll give you a few years and wait for you. Fen Lin let go of Zhang Yan, took out his cell phone, and wrote down the woman's name on his cell phone. Including his name, there were a total of 9 names in Fen Lin's notepad. These are all the children that Fen Lin had let go. The purpose of his recording was to teach himself a lesson. For example, one day in the future, one of them comes to take revenge. Just go directly to Fen Lin, if you threaten the people around Fen Lin. From now on, Fen Lin will not be merciful. He cannot allow people around him to be hurt because of his compassion. What was surprising was that none of the 8 people released earlier, 4 men and 4 women, reached Fen Lin. That is why it is necessary to take this list into account. I hope this woman can break this record and make Fen Lin no longer merciful. Upon reaching the foot of the mountain, Fen Lin left with his hands in his pants pockets. After that, it's time to think about employees' affairs. Just after leaving Zhang's house, Fen Lin received a call. This is an unknown number. He plugged it in and heard a familiar voice from the other end. It was Wang Shui, whom he had met earlier on the high-speed train. Damn. Brother, you're amazing. Wang Shui exclaimed, I got more than 400,000 yuan, it's really yours. This woman went too far and bought 40 or 50 relatives, Fen Lin said calmly. Hey, she called her parents and our parents called my parents, Wang Shui explained there. In the end we reached an agreement, each of us had 200,000 yuan and we paid the fraction. Here. Are you asking me for money? Fen Lin asked calmly. No, it's only 200,000, not to mention that this blind date is fake, so I have to thank you. Wang Shui smiled and said, That's it, happy transaction. Fen Lin shook slightly. He shook his head and smiled wryly, Have you gone too far? He headed towards the high-speed train station without stopping, preparing to give an explanation to Huan City. From now on, we must avoid sneak attacks. Tianzi. Just after getting off the taxi, Fen Lin met a woman with wavy hair. Eyes facing each other. This woman was carrying a suitcase, her eyes were very red, and she had obviously just cried. Return the money. Tears welled up in Renshish's eyes when she saw Fen Lin. I put in the 110,000 yuan that she had saved with great effort for several years. She also asked her family to pay 90,000 yuan. Her parents almost hated her. She also had a big fight with her parents and decided to go out to work. Unexpectedly, I saw Fen Lin here. She didn't want her suitcase anymore. She ran over and hugged Fen Lin's arm. Pay me. Fen Lin asked expressionlessly. Do you still have the nerve to say that? You are so inhuman that you secretly took away 200,000 yuan. Reshisha simply sat at Fen Lin's feet, hugged his legs and refused to leave. It was you who disgusted me first, Fen Lin said calmly. I only have a few thousand yuan a month, but you take care of so many people. You think I'm stupid. You have no money, but your parents are rich. Reshisha cried and said, I don't care. Give me back the things you brought me. I don't care. Fen Lin didn't expect that the woman who had always been cold before would actually break her guard now. Playing road with myself. He smiled and said, "My name is Fen Lin, I am not your blind date." Chapter 399. Employee, Don't you lying? Your twins were having dinner with me just now. Reshisha raised her head and asked. Fen Lin looked at the people watching and some people took out their mobile phones. He looked at Reshisha. "Let's go have a drink. I don't think you want to chat here. Do you want to fool me again?" Reshisha said viciously. "No way." Fen Lin took out 100 yuan from his body and handed it to Reshisha. There was a milk tea shop next door. Reshisha looked at the milk tea shop above the high-speed train station and then let Fen Lin go. He stood up, holding the 100 yuan in his hand, carrying his luggage and keeping an eye on Fen Lin. I was afraid he would run away again. Fen Lin smiled and shrugged, leading the way with his hands in his trouser pockets. When he arrived at the milk tea shop, Fen Lin casually ordered 2 cups and sat by the window. Reshisha sat across from Fen Lin and continued to look at her. "Okay, let me tell you what happened." Fen Lin took out his phone and opened the chat history with Wang Shui. Reshisha flipped through the chat history and became more and more surprised. "Aren't you a blind date?" "No, this man named Wang Shui, give me a few thousand yuan and let me take care of it." Fen Lin hung up the phone, raised his chin and said, "He has someone he likes and doesn't want to go on a blind date with you. Damn it. Give me the money back." Reshisha grabbed Fen Lin's arm. "If I had known what the other person was thinking. What bother? Wouldn't it be nice to chat directly on WeChat and get it over with? In the end I lost so much money for nothing." Reshisha wiped away her tears and told Fen Lin what she wanted to do this time. Fen Lin was a little surprised. It turned out that he did it on purpose. In this case, Fen Lin felt a little regretful. "Where are your cigarettes and wine? Go and return the goods. I beg you, can I apologize?" When Reshisha saw the milk tea come in, she sobbed and sipped the milk tea. "I drank half of it in 2 or 3 sips. I already sold the thing." Fen Lin is a person who was afraid of trouble and it is impossible for him to accompany her to return the goods again. "What? How much did you sell for?" Reshisha asked nervously. 100,000 or so. Fen Lin was going to give him cash directly. "As for those things, treat them as if you bought them with your own money. Can you give it to me?" Reshisha asked pitifully. "Please." "Okay," Fen Lin nodded. "I didn't want to waste my time here." After adding Reshisha on WeChat, Fen Lin directly transferred 200,000 yuan to her. In this transaction, Fen Lin and Reshisha made no profit or loss and ate for free. The hotel is making money, but Wang Shui's family is losing money. But people don't care about 200,000. Reshisha felt a little embarrassed when she saw so much money arriving. Because this time he only paid 200,000. Fen Lin gave him another 200,000. Wasn't that equivalent to Fen Lin inviting a group of his relatives over for dinner? "I will transfer you another 50,000 and pay for the meal," Reshisha said, holding up his mobile phone. "No need. Although I am poor, I have ambition." This time Wang Shui's family suffered a loss. Fen Lin took the milk tea, got up and left. Reshisha wiped away her tears and looked at Fen Lin's back in a trance. Yangjing. Dongchen, see it on. This used to be the prince's residence and it was very large. Zhang Fan and a middle-aged woman knocked on the red door. The middle-aged woman takes good care of herself and has fair skin, but her face is already drooping. My figure is also out of shape. But in the Zhang family, even Zhang too had to be somewhat polite to her. For no other reason than this woman, her surname was W. She is W. Lizhao's sister. His parents met W. Lizhao's parents and died unexpectedly that year. She was adopted by W. Lizhao's father and became an adopted daughter. Later, he changed his surname to Duxia. The red wooden door opened and an old man dressed in loose clothing poked his head out. His hair is half white and he has a white beard. Noticing that Duxia was here, he smiled and said, "It turns out that the lady is here." "Uncle E. Where is my brother?" Duxia asked excitedly. "The young master is discussing something, please wait outside the door," Li Jun said with a smile and then closed the door. Zhang Fan was a little helpless, but he didn't dare to say anything. This is a real big shot. He once said that no one can bother him when he is busy. Someone. The two of them waited here for half an hour. The red door opened and 2 people came out. The one in front is a woman with wheat-colored skin and a golden hair ornament on her head. Each gesture is full of nobility and elegance. But the figure is extremely tempting. This person is Kai Len. Behind her is Kai Xian. As Kai Len passed by Zhang Fan, he smiled and nodded towards Zhang Fan. Zhang Fan almost fell. This kind of person was simply the favorite of old men like him. 2 words, excellent. However, with Dubixia as his wife, he did not dare to ask about other women. After the two left, Li Zhen walked out with a smile. Mr. John, please come in. Dubixia immediately took Zhang Fan's hand and walked in. In the spacious courtyard, an elegant middle-aged man with gold-rimmed glasses was sitting in a wheelchair. He gives people the impression that he is a professor from a family of scholars. He is about 50 years old and has some gray hair on his head. It seems peaceful. He was wearing a suit, but you could see through the cuffs of the suit. Both of his arms, along with his hands, were wrapped in white bandages. There is also a white bandage on the neck. The upper part of the black leather shoes is not socks, but also a white bandage. It can be said that except for his head, all the skin that can be seen on his body is covered by bandages. This person is Yi Tianzi, number 1 on the celestial list. The Don dawns alone. He put his hands on the back of the wheelchair and smiled. You came to see me and didn't bring a gift. Brother. Help. Dubixia shouted and ran towards him, kneeling next to Dr. Lijiao's wheelchair. The Zhang family was destroyed. Let's go. Zhang Fan also walked over and knelt on the ground. Brother. Please uphold justice for our Zhang family. Stand up and speak. Dr. Lijiao's smile remained the same. If you can destroy it as a young man named Feng Lin. This child is very evil. He has killed my family and the kingdom's masters. Zhang Fushi tears. My dad, I'm afraid it's a very bad thing. Feng Lin. Dr. Lijiao smiled and looked at the old man who was standing on the distance. Uncle Li, let you two rest first, brother. We have other family members who are in the hotel far away, Dubixia said, wiping away her tears. Well, then you go back first and I will investigate this person first. Do you have any photos? Dugu asked with a smile. Yes. Zhang Fan quickly took out his cell phone. Send the photo to Uncle Li, go back and wait for the news first, Dugu said in the morning. Okay. Zhang Fan nodded repeatedly and sent the photo. After that, the two left here. Li Zhen put away his cell phone, walked behind Dr. Lijiao, and pushed his wheelchair. Where to go? Dr. Lijiao asked with a smile. Didn't the young master say to investigate? Li Zhen asked. No, I know this person. Dr. Lixia closed his eyes. Chapter 400 Build a chessport. Li Zhen let go of his wheelchair and sat on the stone bench next to him. He asked with a smile. Although Zhang Tu is not strong, he is already at the peak of penetration. I am very interested in this young man. His name is Feng Lin, codenamed Doctor of Death, and he is the youngest master in Wujian. Dugu Don said calmly. What? This young man is a mortuary doctor. Li Zhen's face was shocked, and he took out his mobile phone and looked at Feng Lin's photo. He always thought that the mortuary doctor was a middle-aged man. He didn't expect to be so young. It's too scary. You can kill penetration peak at such a young age. What a terrifying future. Li Zhen shook his head repeatedly. He looked at Dr. Lijiao and asked, Master, since you are a member of Wujian, what should you do? I'm still thinking. Dr. Lixia closed his eyes and sat motionless in his wheelchair. Li Zhen made no more noise. About 10 minutes later, Dr. Lixia looked at Li Zhen and said, Uncle Li, let's investigate. Li Zhen walked over and pushed Dr. Lixia's wheelchair. Get out of here. Uncle Li is getting smarter and smarter. What do you think I should do? Lonely Dawn raised her head with a smile and looked at Li Zhen. I don't know. Although he is a mortuary doctor, he is still a child after all. Even if I win, he won't be able to win. Li Zhen shook his head slightly, and when he crossed the stairs, he firmly lifted the wheelchair with both hands. After walking out of the door and going down the stairs, he put the wheelchair down again. We don't need to act. It's enough to find out who their enemies are and then add fuel to the fire. Dr. Lixia closed her eyes and murmured softly. Feng Lin returned to Yan City. I just arrived at the diagonal gate of the villa. I found Zhao here, carrying a lot of fruits. Although he was chatting with Zhao King, his eyes glanced at Yi Dan in the distance from time to time. Seeing Feng Lin come in, Zhao immediately walked over with a smile and hugged Feng Lin's shoulders. Heptars. Feng Lin's wise nephew is back. Uncle. Why are you here? Feng Lin asked conspiratorially. I came to see King and came here to study, Zhao said with a smile. Yesterday I told my mother about the teachers here who have divine orifice realm. You didn't say anything about her, right? Feng said with a smile. Lin pointed at Yi Dan in the distance. No. Zhao shook his head vigorously and continued, what my mother means is that my daughter is your fiancée after all, so she should be able to come to train, right? Don't ask me about this, because I don't mean what I say. Feng Lin smiled and shook his head. Feng Lin, let Zhamu come. Zhuang walked over and said, knowing her grandfather, she felt indebted to Shanwu. It's not very convenient. She has to go to work every morning, and she has to come here again. Did you forget? My youngest daughter is also in this area of the villa. Let Mumu live with her. Zhao Zhu smiled and said. Then, okay. Fen Lin nodded. After all, she was his fiancée and she was too embarrassed to refuse. Grandpa, we lost again. Men Changshan patted the armrest of his wheelchair. Haha, almost Yi Dan stood up with a smile, stretched his body and walked into the villa. My dear nephew, I will also go back to tell my mother the good news. Zhao smiled and patted Fen Lin on the shoulder. Why did you say that? Who came back first? Fen Lin suddenly looked at Yi Dan, who was walking towards the villa. Oh, haha, I just said the wrong thing, I'm very happy. Zhao Zhu smiled and left the villa. Fen Lin said helplessly and walked towards Men Changshan. Is the matter over? Men Changshan took out his tobacco pouch. I didn't tell the second master what I did. Fen Lin smiled and sat on the chair where Yi Dan was sitting just now. Anyway, it's definitely not good. Men Changshan blew out a ring of smoke and said calmly. Last time I went to the Tinshan Mountain Wilderness, I offended the Zhang family, a reclusive family. Which Zhang family? Men Changshan asked because the Zhang family and the Zhang family had the same pronunciation. Fen Lin explained. Zhao Zhang's family, the Ants River. Well, what's next? Men Changshan asked. Then they threatened me and asked me to go. Who knew they were going to kill me, but I killed them later. Fen Lin looked innocent. Damn. Young man, didn't you investigate clearly before doing something? Men Changshan was so scared that he dropped his cigarette case. I know, isn't it, Emperor He? What's so good about it? Fen Lin pursed his lips. I have the support of the second master here, so what should I be afraid of? For me, it is not comparable to Wang Hei's who. Men Changshan reminded. Wang Hei's who was ranked third in the heavenly ranking because of his strength and can only be ranked third. Dr. Lishao is ranked first because the one with the highest ranking is the first. Is the gap so big? Fen Lin's expression also became serious. That's right, almost no one saw Emperor Yi using his full strength. This guy is really scary, Men Changshan said helplessly. I'll tell you first, just ask for your blessings. Anyway, I'm no match. Don't be afraid, dare. If you touch me, I will complain to Zhang. Fen Lin took out all the wine from the space ring. Second master, I honor you. Speaking of which, I haven't drunk for a long time since I moved here. Men Changshan opened a bottle of Mount and blew directly on it. Fen Lin sat here for a while and then returned to Zhu Ruang's villa. He lay on the sofa, tossing and turning. He was really not afraid of just the dawn. What he is afraid of is that the other party will threaten him through the people around him. Unfortunately, the soldiers come to cover the Fen Lin of the little fox here for a while, then went to the forest to retreat for training. The most important thing now is to improve your own strength. Yangjing, Dongchang. Li Shan pushed Dr. Lishao and walked on the deserted street. There was always a smile on Dr. Lishao's face. This Fen Lin is really interesting. Shen from behind built a chessboard, place Fen Lin and his enemies together and we can observe their performance, Dr. Lishao said in a low voice. Are you going to reveal a relic we know? Li Shan asked strangely. No. That's right, it's too boring. I want to decorate this chessboard. Dr. Zha shone behind his glasses. This chess game should help me kill a few days. Dusk. Fen Lin was about to return, but his cell phone rang. He took it out, looked at it, and found that it was Zhang Banxia's phone number. Fen Lin connected the call and asked with a smile, what's wrong? Fen Lin. Is it you? Did you destroy the Zhang family? Zhang Banxia asked excitedly there. What happened? Fen Lin asked. You stupid. Didn't I tell you before? Behind them is Emperor He. Zhang Banxia's voice was very urgent. If you want to survive, you must listen to me. End of this chapter. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This story is completely available on Patreon. I invite you to subscribe and enjoy all the content.